Also wanted to throw in a little shout out to our good partners, the Yeti. We're partnering up with the Yeti with 7 awesome looking T-shirts. So you got a couple bucks to spare, want to get yourself some nice shirts, just head over to theyeti.com/RPG Limit Break. Take a look at the designs, choose what you want, and every $3 that from every T-shirt that's purchased, excuse me, will be donated to Nami. So Yeti, not Yety, Yetee, you know, just to make sure that nobody's confused. We wouldn't want you to look up some snow-looking animals.
Snow-looking animals.
Sure, start it up. All right. So we're going to be starting up Parasite Eve here. Before I kind of get into the run proper, couple minutes of real quick things. First of all, I'm Turbodog702, joined on the couch by Puexel and Garrick. The run that I'm going to be performing for Parasite Eve, it's a marathon adaptation route that I've done off of my normal notes, which are available at speedrun.com. Those are themselves an adaptation of Dream Bomb, a French runner's route, who took a lot of notes from Puexel's segmented route and NQW's TAS. So, that's kind of where this route comes from. Also, as a side note, make sure that you guys, are getting out there, getting information out about Nami and about the RPG Limit Break stream. We'd really appreciate it. Fairly recently, over the past month and stuff, there's been a lot of people on my Twitter feed that are pretty good online friends of mine that have been having trouble with, depression, either moderate or mild. So, as much word as we can get out there to have people feel like they're welcome and that there is places to get help, the better. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this. So, are we all good? All right. Timer, good? Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So this is Parasite Eve, a pretty unique Squaresoft game that came out post FF7 with that FF7 money that they picked up. Joining great classics like Xenogears and Vagrant Story.
It's pretty much the only game that I would call a survival horror RPG.
Yeah, it's got a very unique feel and a pretty unique combat system, in my opinion, for the time.
I mean, this intro cutscene really just kind of sets the stage for just what a different kind of game this is compared to pretty much anything else that Squaresoft at the time had made before. Because you're seeing New York City, the real world, as opposed to fantasy world, and then we're just getting started. After we name Aya a bit, we get another cutscene that.
What do we have for Aya's name for the donation incentive?
The name will be. Let me see. Let me refresh this to make sure. And the name is. Where is it? It's up here. Yeah. What? Coming out the bushes. With $50, the winning name is Epic Kai. So let me spell that up for you. Capital E, P-I-K, capital K.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he wanted to do Soten Love, but that's completely fine. I'll go ahead and go with Epic Kai. There we go.
The analog got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into the joys of analog control support for this game.
Name good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we mentioned analog control. So the reason why I kind of prefer to play this on a PS2 is because I can easily change between analog and D-pad. D-pad's far better for menuing in most of the game functions. But you can do some pretty interesting stuff with cutting certain angles and certain rooms with the analog.
And I'll have to back up a bit too. This game actually does not support both analog and D-pad controls at the same time, like most games with DualShock controller support for the PlayStation 1 did. And my theory on that is just that the DualShock controller came out during the development cycle for the game, so it was added in kind of last minute.
So we get a sweet little opera scene with Edward. Like, I was thinking about this the past week or so. It's almost like they were trying to reference a couple things in here. Like, you have Edward inside of here. Obviously, people kind of know about the chocobos that are scattered throughout. And we're actually going to see another FF6 veteran here in about, 3 minutes or so. A good old opera rat.
Yeah, the opera
Yes.
rat. That is a good way to call it.
But yeah, very, very unique RPG. I still haven't seen a game that's even close to
Even the
similar to
sequels
this.
to this game are totally different as far as the gameplay. Like Parasite Eve 2 is, I always just call it a Resident Evil clone with supernatural powers. And then Parasite Eve 3, or the third birthday is a third-person shooter primarily.
Yeah, this game's pretty dark for the late 90s, considering what all happens in it.
Yeah, I'm reminded of Derek Alexander from Stop Skeletons from Fighting. In his review, he described Parasite Eve 1 was Square saying, let's make a game like Resident Evil. And then Parasite Eve 2 was, let's make Resident Evil.
Yeah.
It all the way down to the tank-style movement controls, too.
So one of the great opening scenes of this era.
Yeah, the cinematics and things in this game are really, really good at kind of driving the story of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's given that I believe the latest Square game before this was Final Fantasy VII. I mean, this game's polygon graphics and FMVs they're a lot more advanced than FF7s are as far as the characters having much more realistic appearances instead of like the Popeye arms and stuff of FF7.
So I guess you're going to find out that opera is really popular with the same 4 people because they seem to reuse the model in this audience a lot.
And people's reaction to people getting set on fire is not quite as panicky as you'd think.
You just go out and you're enjoying Night at the Opera and you're on fire.
And that's spontaneous combustion. This is Carnegie Hall, too, in New York City.
So at the beginning of this, I switched to the club, and that's because the glove has a faster ATB, and the amount of damage that we would get off of equipping the gun versus using the club it wouldn't change the turns that it would take to kill stuff.
And ammo is pretty scarce too at this point. I mean, you get ammo from winning a lot of battles in this game, but there really aren't enough in day one with the Opera House in order to actually give you enough ammo to use the gun for all of the required fights. So we use the club instead for, I think for your route, is it everything up until the croc?
Up until I get the M19.
Okay.
The handgun.
Okay.
So the best
All
thing
right.
to do in a situation like this is to charge the stage and punch the person doing it.
Yep. So here we've got our first battle with the main villain of the story, Eve. This is pretty easy. It's more of just a tutorial of how the movement controls and battle system works. I think she has 80 HP.
40 in this one. For
Okay.
this form.
That's right, yeah. And so the way critical hits work in this game too is that the critical hit rate is weighted depending on how close to the enemy you are. Nice. Eve does deal contact damage, so he's trying to kind of get as close to her as possible without touching her, so that he both improves his critical hit rate and but doesn't walk into her. And if he gets hit when his ATB bar is filling, it pauses during the hit stun animation. Loses a little time there. Pretty solid fight overall.
Yeah, 4 or 5 turns is pretty typical for this. If you crit every single attack, you can
Yeah, I think
four-turn it.
I got a 4-turn in my segmented run, which on the fly I decided to do a segment break after getting the key because I didn't think I was going to get a 4-round Eve 1 ever again.
Yeah, typically it's 5. 6 is the most that you can get, so but that's not such a huge deal. Like a lot of this game. So once you reach a certain level in any RPG, obviously RNG plays a big part of that. Random number generator.
Yeah,
random events.
it's a catch-all term used by speedrunners just to describe random elements in games that usually are just totally outside our control or meant to be random but manipulatable in some cases.
Yeah.
There's not really a whole lot of the latter in this game. Generally stuff that's random is random.
If you're familiar with Japanese horror a lot or sci-fi, there's going to be a lot of tropes you might notice, like Ghost Shadow Girl running away. Chaser. So we
All
get
right.
to see FF6 alumni here making its appearance.
Yes. Now we get introduced to the general stock monster type in this game, which is basically just normal animals that Eve has mutated into monsters. Starting off with a rat.
Shout out to Aya for being able to do this entire section in heels. It's very impressive. And this scene as a kid really freaked me out really bad. And like being like a a young teenager, this is pretty graphic for the time.
Appropriately grotesque.
Yeah. Yeah, so the first rat is also a pretty simple fight. It's a 2-round, I think, would be a perfect fight with the club.
If I get a crit, it can be a 1-round.
Okay.
But the rat's also really erratic movement.
Yeah.
Something that's not readily apparent, like if you only play this game once, maybe. But the rats
Yeah.
can be very jerky.
Yeah,
with what they do.
because I mean, there's a bit of a chance that after he cues his club swing, that the rat could run away and then he'd miss.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies in day one have their hitboxes backloaded, so I kind of have to attack their bottoms.
Yeah,
you know?
the frog. I mean, like in my run, I actually used the gun for the frogs because I just couldn't really figure out a reliable way to hit them with the club. This is kind of finicky too, by the way, to actually get this key card off the skeleton after knocking it over. And that's one case where analogs are definitely a lot better than D-pad controls to do that kind of movement precision.
Yeah.
Same for lining up with this diary to read it quickly here too. Yeah, you do fidget a little bit. It's harder than it looks to just run right into the diary and read it to get the key.
Very similar to like Resident Evil, how like some of the hotspots are a little finicky with how you do it. And because, so another advantage of the analog stick, besides getting those good angles, is I can mash OK while doing it. If I were to mash OK while running with the D-pad, I would just start stutter stepping and not gain any time off of it. So that is another nice thing. So there are times when if I, after a text box, I gain immediate control, I would just decide to go ahead and, use the analog. I'm going to do that since I took the
For
laser.
marathon safety, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause Eve 2 is actually a fairly dangerous fight.
This is a very technical fight, too. Once you, if you're pushing for speedrunning, you really want to try to hit her in between her phases, which means you're chasing her. But if she slaps you, her slap is very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just kind of managing risk with reward, as with anything. So we're going to see if I can chase her down.
Yeah, and you're pretty clearly not meant to be fighting Eve 2 with the club, too. You're really, this fight is designed around you having a ranged attack.
Oh, what are you talking about? They give you the club. It's obviously
But
designed
she's
for it.
holding a gun in the cutscene, and now club.
Yeah, club.
You're also meant to be higher leveled, too, from having explored the rest of the Opera House and fought more rats and birds and stuff.
And in my experience from just watching runs, this boss can also move before you're able to hit her, which can be kind of annoying.
Yeah, so her green lasers are a little bit random as far as how quickly they move and in what direction they start moving in, but they're by far the easier of her two attacks to avoid. The other one is a claw swing, which she just suddenly lunges forward at you and swings, and it's both very hard to avoid and does more damage than her laser too.
That was really good.
It is
a good fight,
execution-wise.
yeah.
It's a really good fight.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen several runs get reset right there just because she decides to move right before you're able to hit her.
Yep.
Yeah, the strats that I have to do in order to push world record in this game are vastly different than what I have to do here, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, this is a very, very RNG heavy game overall. There's no it's pretty much all adaptable as far as there's nothing that's going to prevent you from being able to win battles fast. But we haven't even gotten to chest RNG yet. But just even for pretty much every fight in the game, there's little bits of randomness as far as enemy movement and attack patterns, and also damage variation and crits.
Oh, we're about to get to chest luck coming up here. Not too bad, but just the first taste of it.
So now that he's leveled up a bit, he can one-shot these rats pretty reliably, unless he misses.
It's a nice crit there.
Boom. Where was that on the first rat? Alright, so coming up next is our first frog.
Frogs have probably the best hitboxes. They're clearly intended to be hit with the club.
Clearly.
You want to talk about things that aren't supposed to be hit with a club. This monster is definitely one of those ones that's pretty rough. Wow, nice
Oh,
crit,
wow.
dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
Please don't do that again.
Yeah, because if you die in this game, there's no continues, so he's definitely Turbodog's definitely going to be safety saving periodically.
Yeah. So we get the M19, which is going to be the first gun that we're going to use, but we're not going to be using it too long.
There's only really a very couple specific fights in the game where death is actually a serious concern too.
It's a serious concern, kind of all over the place, but only because obviously you want to be spending your time killing enemies rather than healing. At a very base level, you can heal really effectively in this game. If you'd like to kind of touch on the Parasite Eve or Parasite Energy mechanic.
Sure. Well, Parasite Energy is MP in this game, basically power for doing special attacks, and you learn oh, nice offense too. Very nice. Yeah. Oh, but before that, chest luck too. A lot of the chests in this game have randomized contents, like those stat ups that he got right there could either be +1 or +2, which is the rarer option. And then getting an offense +2 is if one of those chests is very good too, because not really so much right now, but on day 2 it gives him earlier ability to one-shot certain enemies if he gets a crit. But anyway, Parasite Energy, it's his MP for spells. He learns his spells at specific levels, and then the PE gradually refills during fights, but that's the only way to recover it. There are no items, like there are no ether type items for refilling your PE either during or outside fights. And another mechanic that doesn't really matter that much in a speedrun is that there's kind of a threshold too, where after you've used a certain amount of PE, the rate that it refills starts to slow down a lot. And you can cheat that actually by changing equipment in the middle of a fight, like changing your armor in most cases. Okay, then you'll notice there that he actually went into the menu and manually reloaded his gun. You don't really you don't need to manually reload your gun. I mean, when you have exactly 0 bullets left, you'll automatically reload before firing again. But there's a nice little trick where if you end a turn with exactly 0 bullets left, you will just quietly reload without having to stop and go through the animation. That both saves time and also gives you safety too, because you're a sitting duck for a few seconds while you're reloading. And the gun he picked up, I can never remember any of the names of weapons in this game other than the micro Uzi, but the upgraded handgun that he got in the sewers is a 3-shot weapon, and we'll get into shot multiplier effects a little bit later, but for now, he wanted it has a capacity of 6 and starts with 4, I think, by default. Yeah. So he manually loaded it all the way up to 6 so that he'll be shooting in multiples of 3 and then skip the reload.
Yeah, that bug where he reloads without animation at 0 is really kind of a big thing for this fight, because I actually do not want to crit against Crocodile. If I don't crit, then I will be shooting in multiples of 3, which will make it so that I'll get that auto reload without having to worry about it.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of this isn't a hard fight at all if you know what you're doing, but having to reload.
I've been crushed before.
Okay,
on this,
well, I take that back.
We'll see.
Then. All right, so the Croc, which is the boss of day 1, is a 2-phase fight. For the first fight, he has to do 80 damage to the tail. Okay, very nice. And then it's kind of based on a timer as far as when he does those swings. Then his target is committed when he starts the animation. So I usually when I used to run this, I would basically hug the wall and then count to 3, and then start moving, and then I would be able to dodge those shockwaves. All right, very good. Phase 1. He got a crit, but it was on the last shot, so it doesn't actually matter.
You can get 1 if I didn't get a +2. If you do get a +2, you can't crit at all, which is kind of unfortunate.
So then for Phase 2, it takes, I believe, 4 rounds of shots in order to kill it.
Depending on crits.
If you don't crits, yeah. And he does kind of sit around a lot but after his attacks and give you some pretty easy openings, but his attacks do hurt you a lot, though. So you do. Whoa. I don't think he could have one-shot him there, but
no, but it's very.
It can spiral out of control.
Yeah,
if
that
it starts
hitbox,
hitting you.
particularly with melee, hitboxes are really inconsistent. I've caught like his animation has been completely done on the claw attack, and it still hit me before.
Yeah, that's the T-Rex. I think is the
Yeah.
worst in the whole game for.
I randomly got bit for 200 damage
after his animation's completely finished too. Yeah, but yeah, and then that was kind of the crack rushing at you and clawing you. It's more kind of difficult to react to, attack to. Its other one I don't think I saw it actually use was a laser breath too that has a pretty long wind up to it and a very predictable firing pattern too.
Yeah.
So you can just get around and keep shoot him again immediately.
So we got a couple minutes here. If we have any code donations that you'd like to take care of, or?
And we definitely do. Anonymous sends in $100. Here's $20 for each time reset and retry.
Nice.
Is the silver sword super effective on the demon chocobo?
I'm assuming that's probably from DeWolf, the runner of the last game.
Nothing is super effective on the Demon Chocobo.
Put this toward that train suplex, because it's not a run without it.
Indeed.
The only thing effective against the demon chocobo is money.
Garrick1 sends in $104. The time is nigh for our Lord and Savior's return. I'm guessing that's Demon Chocobo.
We don't speak his name.
We don't.
The
Yeah.
unmentionable one.
Those of us on the inn only refer to him as Lord and Savior.
Oh, goodness. And Brasentia sends in $50. Brasentia here, getting that half-minute hero donation in. This goes to naming Celas in Final Fantasy VI General Store.
And I'll be making the donation I promised after this run.
And then Sestia sends in her $50, also for a half-minute hero. Dolwolf also sends in his $50 for his 5 deaths. Anonymous sends in $10. Good luck, Turbodog. Hopefully the frogs in the sewers aren't total jerks today.
They tried.
They tried.
They did try.
Got a 24 damage hit.
Don't forget, everyone, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Love,
Yeah.
B. Marie.
Oh man.
Yeah, so the start of day 2 is one of the more cutscene heavy parts because I do overall really like how this game is structured from a story perspective because it gets going right away with the Carnegie Hall incident and then doesn't really start dumping plot on you until this point.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, he just picked up the chemical vest one. The chemical family of armor is really useful for speedrunning because it has the auto heal passive ability assigned to it, and that what that does is that when he gets below 25% HP, it will automatically use the strongest HP recovery item that he has on him at the time. So that in addition to just safety overall, that lets him fight a lot more aggressively because there's a little bit of a risk that if he takes a really heavy hit, he could just get killed instantly from having more than 25% HP. But overall, unless he gets pretty unlucky with damage rolls, and as long as he has some healing items on him, he's not really going to have to worry about death too much. Keyword being too much.
So I love how for a street level detective, they're just gonna here's an M16.
New York's a dangerous place. Okay.
Yeah. There's quite a number of weapon types available in this game. We were using the club, which is the only Malay family of weapons at the start, and then switched to handguns. Then we get a rifle now here too that we're going to be using for Central Park, the next dungeon. Every weapon type has just slightly different properties to it as far as their starting. I mean, you can mod them to improve stats, but their range, fire rate, the magazine capacity, the ATB recovery rate is tied to the weapon type. And, fortunately, every weapon in this game that isn't a rocket launcher uses the same kind of ammo, too.
It's odd that they would make that decision, but I'm really glad they did because it helps game feel a ton.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you have a shotgun that uses the same kind of bullets as a pistol. Well, and then that kind of makes a bit sense is once we build our ultimate weapon too, which we'll get
What
into
are you
a bit
doing
later.
here, small gray child?
I mean, well, I guess while we've got some downtime here too, another thing about weapons too is that each one of them, about gun type weapons, is that each one has a rate of fire too. I think it's ×2 ×1 if it doesn't have a rate of fire modifier.
1 to 10.
2, 3, 5, and 10.
7 is also in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, you would think that the more the merrier as far as the number of bullets you're shooting per round, but in the world of Parasite Eve, less is actually more in most cases, because there's also a damage multiplier that's a damage multiplier that's applied to each shot based on the rate of fire, and the more shots you're firing, the less damage that each one does. Like if you have it ×1, it does 100%. ×2, I believe, is 60%.
×2, so it's 120 total.
Yeah, and then ×3 is
43.
Yeah.
Or 42, sorry. 126 total.
And I don't really remember what the higher ones are.
Irrelevant at that point, yeah.
The sweet spot basically is ×2, because then you're doing 120% of the base power of your weapon between two shots. Whereas if you had ×10, I think it's actually just 10% at ×10. So you're shooting 10 times as many bullets. Your animation's a lot longer, and you're doing the same amount of damage as if you just shot once.
5 and 7 are actually degrades, which is surprising. Like, you don't do more damage with them, but 10 does do it. But the thing is at that point, shooting 10 bullets is a long time standing still, and it's a lot of bullets that you're using. So it's better to just have 1, 2, or 3. 3, you could make an argument for.
Yeah, and yeah. So once we're out of day one, as long as we're using fairly minimal shot weapons, that translates into just not really needing to detour to get extra ammo much at all for the rest of the game.
So I kind of equate the pacing in this game to kind of like Star Ocean 2, where they kind of just dump plot on you in big sections. Then you kind of go through, do something, and they dump more plot on you.
Yeah, it's really this part of day 2 and then before the final boss rush are the most plot-heavy parts of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever see me looking to the side, I mean, I'm not trying to look at Pooexel's butt. I'm trying to look at my notes. I mean, that's just you know,
a likely story.
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you. That's exactly what he's doing. That's why they're set there. He gets both benefits.
Gets a 2-for-1 deal.
Exactly.
I mean, we're all about value here in RPG speedruns, right?
Exactly.
Nice one-lane street here.
Yeah.
Driving down
Yeah,
here too.
Daniel
There's a better
drives
one later
approximately
too.
fast as the speed of light. Like, he gets closer and closer to it as the game goes on. I mean, light doesn't go like that if you're traveling the speed limit.
You can when you're I mean, the world map. If anyone hasn't played this game, the world map is it's like Final Fantasy X, where you're selecting destinations from basically a list of Manhattan Island, and you can buffer inputs to select something before it actually finishes zooming out and displaying the list. So, yeah, you just, as long as you either memorize or have notes for the right inputs, you can save a couple seconds on each area transition like that.
On that note, something else to mention. I was going to say it in the police station, but it's, you know, we're beyond that. Let's keep going.
Yeah, there's no danger at all in the museum in day 2.
Yeah, so whenever you enter a room, it takes a couple of seconds to visually load, and you have control of Aya before it actually will visually load. So if you know what direction you want to head into, you can get like 2 to 3 steps, which saves about a second every screen, which is huge savings over the course of the game.
I mean, this is a fairly short run by PlayStation RPG standards, of being about roughly 3 hours and some change, or less than 3 actually if you don't include the ending. But yeah, just there's a lot of screen transitions in this game, so just kind of having a solid grasp of what either D-pad directions or in most cases analog directions to tilt during loading screens in order to save like Turbodog just said, a second or so every time it's not easy.
And that is the worst CRT monitor on Earth.
Yeah, I never really got this. He's clearly got a broken monitor, right? Because we're not a camera, so like, why would it be doing that? He's also nice Photoshop on there. That's like CS3 or something.
And the museum just cannot afford to replace that monitor under any circumstances.
But they can afford an electron microscope, which we'll see later, for this natural history.
You gotta have priorities monitor, electron microscope. Not the.
So this is so if I had to say one thing that's kind of poor about the design of this game, and I will gush over this game a lot over the course of this, I will say that it does have a very slow start. You have this really punchy beginning, but then it dumps exposition on you the beginning of day 2 and day 3 really heavily. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, any other donations to go over?
We got a few.
All right.
Anonymous sends in $6. Shout outs to Aya for maintaining her style in the face of an entire opera full of people burning to death. Chris sends in $10. He says, "Hey all, you guys and gals are all doing a great job, and I'm happy to support. The intro section of Parasite Eve is a fond childhood memory of mine. Although I didn't get to properly play and finish it until years later, it has become one of my favorite games. Also, props to Turbodog702. I've always wanted to speedrun Soten, and his tutorials on YouTube were incredibly helpful. This donation goes to his choice."
This is the aforementioned speed of light driving through Manhattan too. So
Yeah.
Nice empty streets.
And clearly, no one else drives in Manhattan for any reason ever. So I have no idea who he was honking at.
So-
Decided to honk his horn.
We're going to see that camera position again a couple times in the game. They actually have a mirror in there, which if you're familiar with like PlayStation limitations and stuff, the fact that they were ambitious enough to put a mirror in that car for no other reason than just like for background stuff is incredible. Because those are really hard to do on old hardware. Just technically like doubling the image that has to get played is really taxing on a system.
yeah.
So.
Fortunately, we're kind of near. This is probably the last big section of the day 2 plot dump before we get to go to Central Park and play the game again.
Then we get to play the real plot, which is, does the chest have what I need?
Yes.
So chests in this game work kind of similarly to like Final Fantasy 12. If anybody's familiar with that, the chest can have several options in it.
It's two generally.
Two options.
There's generally a pretty common option and then a rare one. Like we talked about that a little bit in the sewers too, where the stat boost chests that he opened.
Yeah, 1 in 5 chance to have an offense too. So
Yeah, and the fact that he'd got one offense 2, because it was both of them that could have either been offense 1 or 2. The fact that one of them was an offense 2 is going to be kind of a big deal for a couple of forced fights in Central Park. Well, I'll point out which ones they are when he gets there.
that was decent. Yeah, so a big thing in RPG speedrunning is obviously optimizing menus. One of the difficulties that's involved with Parasite Eve is that your menus are not static. Like, you will get totally different menus almost every single run. So a big part of it is just kind of being able to visually read your menu and adjust accordingly very quickly.
There's a couple things that are consistent, like allocating stat points and stuff. But yeah, the main thing was just that where items are in your inventory is going to be different pretty much run to run.
Yeah, just checking my minimal notes here to make sure I'm doing what I need to.
To maybe, while we're getting into Central Park too, quickly talk about the weapon modding system.
Sure.
When you have, there's a weapon and armor modding system. It's based on having an item called a tool, and then there's also a version called a super tool.
We don't want to see those
Which
here.
we're not actually intending to
Hopefully we
use at
won't,
all
yeah.
in this run. But when we use a tool, we can actually transfer a property from one piece of equipment to another of any type in most cases. That can either be all of the stat modifiers to either the power, range, and bullet capacity, as in all of them, or one of a number of special passive effects. And but using a regular tool will destroy the original piece of equipment as part of that too. Whereas a super tool will move the property but will not destroy it. And in a lot of cases, that's actually good for our purposes in the speed run because you have a limited item capacity, although you do have separate pools for items and equipment, I believe. And we want to... and then just getting to destroy old equipment in order to, and then power up newer stuff helps preserve capacity.
So you might notice that I'm picking up a couple of chests, and you might go like, why is he getting ammo, or why is he getting the cure poison, which happened in the locker? That comes down to, again, those random chests. For the purposes of this run, I really want medicine to fuel my CM vest, and oftentimes if I'm relying on combat, that's just not going to happen, and I have to play very, very safe in that case. So by making a couple of detours, I can give myself a better shot at, roll the dice, see if I get a medicine, and that'll help me out later.
Another thing useful to point out too is this game does actually have an option to run away from fights, but it's useless for speedrunning because almost all of the fights he's going to be doing are based on specific battle triggers, like that one right there. But he has a if he runs away, he has a random chance to escape from the fight, but that resets the battle triggers so that. It'll kick him back out to before he hit the trigger, and then it'll load the same fight again. So yeah, running away is useless, and that's kind of okay too because trying to fight bosses underleveled in this game wouldn't really work that well. So this is kind of an interesting speedrun in that he's not really underleveled for much of the game at all. But
that's definitely one of the pluses that I love about this game is if you're playing well, you don't need to grind at all. The game will give you everything you need.
He is going to be somewhat behind on equipment for most of the run, though. Until we get to the end, though, and start just abusing the weapon modding system to Kingdom Come. But yes, birds are jerks in almost all video games, and this one's no exception because the mutant crows in Central Park drop junk, which is useful in a casual playthrough because if you get 300 pieces of it, you can mod it into some of the best equipment in the game. But in a speedrun, it would just waste space in your inventory.
Okay, so this is the first major RNG chest. It is 80-20 in my favor.
And
okay,
yeah,
good. We can play
nice.
video.
There aren't really a whole lot of battle triggers that you can flat out skip in the run. Unlike in Chrono Trigger, Square did a pretty good job of making the battle triggers unavoidable. But in that last screen right there, by crossing across the snow instead of taking the sidewalk basically to get to this part, he was able to avoid a battle trigger completely.
Oh, wow.
So then this particular fight here, I believe, is one of the ones where the fact that he got that offense +2 in day one is going to make a difference, because the level up he got from the... Yeah, there we go. The level up he got from the first Crows fight translates into... if he gets a crit, now he can one-shot additional Crows.
I take that, because that has a good chance at a medicine, and I'll menu out the junk. We don't want junk, like Puexel said, but if you know how to discard things, you can discard pretty quickly.
Oh, you skipped the ammo chest there?
Ammo, I've actually discovered you need 0 ammo as long as you're playing well, which is surprising. Like, in the original Dream Run, I was seeing times where you'd pick up like a 30-pack or something.
Because I got that chest in my segmented run, although I didn't route every shot out, which like a segmented run by today's standards would definitely do. Now see there, he had to reload his rifle. So lost like a second or two, but no, unlike the Croc fight, he's not really in much danger here.
So I definitely ended the fight at the top of there for a reason. Whenever you're done with a fight, you want to try to end it near the location where you want to go to next.
But you don't want to overlap onto a loading zone when you end a fight, though, because if you do that, the game actually kicks you back a bit and actually does a screen fade out as part of it, too, so that ends up actually wasting time. So, like, that screen was perfectly fine just because it was frozen away from the loading zone, so he just wanted to get as close as he could, but there's a lot of other places where he'll just want to be like a step or so away from the loading trigger.
For the purposes of the speedrun, I've only run into one place, which is that first bird fight. Before I picked up the grenade launcher.
Oh, I think I ran into it a few times on the polar bear fight after this.
I'll have to keep that in mind. Usually I'm more towards the center of that screen since the polar bear's pretty dangerous, but yeah.
Depending on his movement, sometimes I was able to just get past him and then shoot him in the back and then hit the loading trigger.
So Eve reveals another one of her mysterious powers, the power to turn everyone into jello.
And the fact that the people sat there and watched the monster sing is very impressive. Very good dedication.
This guy looks strangely okay with melting, too.
He was ready to go. He was done. Yeah,
it's like, well, I guess this is it.
This is another...
This would be why day 2 is called Fusion, too. It's not because of the fusion dance or something like that. It's because of the audience is melted and fused into this big slime ball, which will have more relevance later on.
Which is another really odd scene, like creepy scene in the game, which helps set the ambiance.
I mean,
of the
we've
game.
seen this so many times now that we're completely desensitized. But a lot of the FMVs in this game freaked me out the first time I played.
Once again, follow the Shadow Child.
The game has really great music following in
Yeah,
tradition of
this
most
is
Square.
a Yoko Shimomura soundtrack, which she's getting represented pretty well in this marathon. Actually, this is the third game in just the first 2 days of RPG Limit Break 2016 with the Shimomura soundtrack.
I believe Kingdom Hearts as well, which was just before this.
And Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, 'cause she did the whole Mario and Luigi RPG series, and then Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, which is our finale game.
Kind of compare and contrasting them too. Like, you notice how in Kingdom Hearts it's very whimsical. Like, they really have to kind of work towards the style of Disney, you know? Give it that really kind of adventurous, fun feel. In this game, it's obviously much more of kind of like an ambient background music, which I think fits the game.
This is a
pretty
little
well.
detour that I believe is just for marathon safety, where he's going to be picking up like ammo and then also a revive item. Revives are... Well, you might be wondering how you use a revive when you only have one character for the full game. Revives are auto-used if you actually die. If you run out of HP and the chemical vest doesn't heal you, and it'll just bring you back immediately with full HP. But it will also reset your ATB bar, which might cause
And
you to
strip
die
your
again.
buffs,
Cause you to
and
die
you don't
again.
have any PE. It's... I mean, it'll save you, but sometimes it doesn't save you.
Yeah.
So obviously I mentioned I don't need ammo. That 15 is, again, like me just rolling the dice. There's a chance at a medicine too there, so give it a
okay.
shot.
Yeah, and then Central Park's this second part of Central Park's kind of a lengthy dungeon, but not really if you know where you're going, and that's a pretty common thing in this game.
So that's a 1 or a 2% super tool chance.
I think it's 1% for
depending
the
on
super
who you
tool.
ask.
Yeah, there is. I mean, unfortunately, there isn't like really good. I mean, there's a mechanics guide and game FAQs that taught
Prince
me everything I
Tharkrath.
know. Taught me everything I know about like the weapon modding system and other stuff. But as far as like percentage rates for like enemy AI and chest drop rates and that sort of thing, I was never really able to find more thorough stuff like that when I routed this game.
Yeah, I wanted to throw a shout out for that because that is a really, really strong guide
Yeah,
for just learning
like
about the game.
my segmented run comments, I made sure to link that guide specifically just because of how good it was.
Okay,
Bad luck
birds.
there. So yeah, you can one-shot these crows if he gets a crit. But they're birds are jerks, and he has to fight 4 of these at once in a kind of a large fighting field. And once he's cued a shot, they can just very well just immediately turn and fly away. And then
That was really good.
yeah,
Actually.
other than
Despite
that
the
miss at the
miss,
start,
yeah.
ended up being pretty good. Yeah. And if one of them flies away, then the range also affects your hit rate as long as your crit rate. So if it flies away, you've got a pretty good chance of missing.
I was going to say, so we touched on Parasite Energy. Do you want to kind of talk about that targeting sphere and kind of how it interacts a little bit?
Oh, sure. So, I mean, every weapon has a range stat associated with it, and you can modify it all the way up to 999, but by default, like a handgun is a kind of a shortish range, and then a rifle like she has now has kind of the largest natural range. But the closer you are, the higher your critical hit rate is too. So in general, even though he has a long-range weapon, he still wants to be pretty close to enemies when he shoots them, just to increase his critical rate. He got poisoned by that snake, although that's not. I mean, poison does naturally wear off in this game, not without doing really a ton of damage to you in the process. So
It
he'll have to-
will last the whole term until you get out of battle.
Oh, it does.
Status
Okay.
effects don't roll over to the next battle.
Mhm.
That's not such a big deal here. Way later in the game, in day 5, that will be extremely critical for a boss fight that I don't get poisoned early because it'll do some work if I do. So,
Okay.
like to the point where, you know, I mentioned how you oftentimes want to deal damage. You don't want to spend time healing. I will go out of my way to clear that poison if he gets it to me early enough.
Is that the centipede?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Hopefully we don't see that, but you know, it's a no reset marathon run, so
Are you gonna get the armor bonuses? here?
Definitely.
Okay, yes. These are more random stat bonus chests. They have like they have bonuses for basically all of the stats for armor, and he's just gonna throw those on. Well, he's not gonna use them now Because he has a Chemical Vest 1, and he's going to get a Chemical Vest 2 in the fairly near future, and saving his armor stat boost items for that is better than having to use a tool off it to move stuff from his current armor.
As part of the marathon route, I have routed in a second tool, so I'll
Oh, you
actually have
okay.
those boosts
Oh,
for this
okay.
boss, because I consider this next boss coming up in this next battle to be the hardest boss in the speedrun, and
I believe that.
either the hardest or second hardest boss in the entire game, even casually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the next two bosses are kind of hard. I mean, I think the worms are harder than Eve 3, but Eve 3 is pretty dangerous if you don't actually know what her attack X can do.
So when you're talking about the Chemical Vest 1 and 2, what exactly does the 1 and 2 denote?
Like how it's a family of equipment basically. Like 1 is the weakest version, then 2 is stronger than that. And I think for Chemical Vest there's only 3 levels, and I think the third one is a different name, like Chemical Suit or something. But it's just kind of one of those types of RPGs where instead of giving a unique name to every piece of equipment, they have just a family that all share certain properties, and then just have a number for it too. Like RoboTrack earlier had that same system.
So it doesn't denote like how many times it'll heal you or anything like that.
No. Yeah, auto heal is anytime you fall below 25% HP but don't die, you get it. All right, so this is the giant worms fight. There are 4 of them. They all start out with a certain amount of HP, but as he kills them, they get a fixed amount of HP added, and also grow in size and gain nastier attacks. So he's kind of trying. I mean, he's going to try to kill. The strats for this fight are also really random, depending on your starting ATB and what the worms do. Because if you get lucky, you can potentially kill one of them before it really does anything.
Yeah, you'll notice I'm using a pause buffering strat. That's just, again, a concession to the marathon, because this boss is so dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, you can die to like 3 or 4 hits if they get pretty high rolls.
Okay. That's 1 crit? Yeah.
So now that he's down to 2 worms left, he's going to be trying to do a phase skip, basically, where he kills both of the last 2 worms when they're on screen at the same time, and that lets him speed up this fight fairly significantly by skipping the final worm, which just gets a large HP boost, and then there's also a lot of lag before it actually even comes out and is targetable. This fight is the main reason to get that revive. He got early. Oh.
That was a bad. Yeah, that was a bad crit. This
Yeah.
could kill me. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so that'd be why he
So
got
I
the
might
revive.
actually be dead. We'll find out. I mentioned how revive might not save you.
You
I
can
might
you
be
can
dead.
bait the worm a bit too by trying to get it to do its sweep while you're in a place where you can manipulate it. But okay, he was able to tank its hit. Trying to bait it is slower too, just because this is a pretty big room, and he'd probably generally be giving up his chance to shoot it at close range if you wanted to try to be safe during the final phase.
As you could see, I had a billion medicine, and it didn't matter. Just that amount of damage that it put out was higher than that 20% threshold. What am I doing? There we go.
Yeah, and I mean, even though the worms come out of the ground kind of at fixed patterns, they do start to drift apart from each other as the fight continues. So actually getting that skip and killing the 3rd and 4th worms at the same time it's both difficult and random too.
It is pretty luck based. Not just like you mentioned that there's a tendency towards patterns, especially in the early part. But as you get further and further in the fight, it changes up quite a bit. And you're really depending on what your damage range is. Did I crit this many times? Did I crit this many?
Because you do need to kind of keep a loose track of how much HP each one has left in order to, because you only have 2 shots basically before the first one that came out goes back underground, so that one needs to kill it, and then you're not going to get another turn on the second one either, and if your second shot doesn't kill it. All right, so here we have Eve 3, who's considerably easier than the worms if you know what you're doing. She has both a laser attack and a claw swipe. An optimal fight would actually get claw swipes because the animation's faster, and you can shoot her again immediately. But it's also a lot more dangerous because there's a really, really high damage range. Like that did 20, and I've seen it do like over 100.
Oh wow, I've seen 54, I believe. But yeah, that's
Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I have seen it do enough to one-shot me through auto cure.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a wide range. Maybe 102 is what I'm thinking of that I saw it do once in my segmented attempts. But fortunately, the laser is really, really easy to dodge if you know what you're doing, just because it'll always target one of the corners of the carriage, and you get plenty of time to see where it's coming. And as long as you're standing on the opposite corner, it won't hit you. But like we kind of alluded to earlier, it's one of those attacks where the hitbox for it
This horse
persists
is a
quite a
champion.
bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure setting the horse on fire was the best way to get it to do what she wanted it to do, but it clearly worked. So
I mean, that horse
Yes,
is he
I-
just ran for
I
like
always-
3 minutes.
Yeah, he
while
had-
on fire.
I always think that Aya deserves a Darwin Award for getting into that carriage too, because Eve said to get into the carriage, and she'll tell her why she's doing what she's doing, and she just says, "Okay, I'll
Yeah,
get in."
not a
and
problem.
So we get
And
some
then this
pretty cute
happens.
stuff coming up here. So slight continuity error. We won't know this yet, but actually maybe it'll be a little bit later. But it's going to show the hospital in Christmas time, and I was
yes.
definitely not here during Christmas.
Yeah,
So,
that's probably that's my favorite continuity error in like any video game potentially.
It also shows like the basement, and it's like, why would you be in the basement? So
Yes.
somehow small child managed to get away.
Yeah, without getting melted, but.
Apparently
Couple-
the restroom is outside of the park.
I've been to Central Park too, and that would be quite the hike to just leave completely to go somewhere. But anyway, we've got a couple minutes of cutscenes now, so let's have some donations and plugs for the next run's incentives.
You got it. Half Coordinated sends in $25. I may barely understand this game, but I do know that Turbodog is an amazing person. Good luck with going fast. Moofle Z. This goes to Turbodog's choice.
All right.
We got $55 from Anonymous. Just stumbled onto the stream. Binge watched a bunch of speedruns on SGDQ and AGDQ. And I'm really hyped to see a speed running marathon around my favorite genre. Rizukun sends in $6.66. I can't fault them for not replacing their monitors. Mad science is expensive. Don't ask me how I know.
We already know.
Anonymous sends in $10. Donating because why not? I kind of like Parasite Eve, but never beat it, so please don't spoil the plot for me, streamer.
Yeah.
Kappa.
This game shouldn't take you more than like 10 to 15 hours to beat casually. So if you haven't played this and want to experience a really unique and cool action RPG, I would definitely recommend giving it a try. I know it's on PlayStation Network for like $4 or $5 or something.
Oh my dog, it's a Franker Z. Nothing will ever possibly hurt this dog. It will continue
No.
on to the end of the game.
Yep.
Dogs are clearly not an analog to be able to do bad stuff instead of children.
Nope.
So you
We
wonder why Eve
yeah.
doesn't attack the bridge here or anything else. But don't worry about that. We're beyond that.
And we're also retroactively getting our reason for no traffic in Manhattan now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We cannot question her machinations. She was able to get all those people into the park without any difficulty at all. So
They were attending a concert is the
Yeah,
lure, the
yeah.
deep lure.
deep lure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Somebody left their ice skate.
yeah, so go ahead and take it away, Aether.
All right. Well, we don't have any donations up right now,
Okay.
but want to remind everybody that we're here for raising money for the National Alliance on mental illness. All your donations will go straight to them. So thank you everyone so much. And even if you don't have anything to spare for our fundraiser, letting everyone know through Twitter, maybe even Facebook if that's your thing, or even word of mouth. All these little things help and contribute to our great cause.
Hospital basement.
And, Christmas tree. We also saw a scene there where it proves that Maeda, the Japanese man who comes down, is a black mage. Because he lights the cop on fire that's being derogatory towards him. And none of the other cops get lit on fire, so it can't be Eve, right? Because why would she just pick out that one guy?
Yeah, notice all the Christmas decorations
Yeah.
up in this hospital. There, now too, you saw lights in that tree. You can see a Christmas tree inside now.
Maybe it's a year-round Christmas hospital.
Maybe they're just really, really, really lazy about taking down their Christmas decorations.
That would be similar to the way my house was.
So there's just a barrel of fire in this room.
Yeah, I mean they're in Soho now, but apparently fire code isn't a thing in this building. I don't know. It's just a cutscene to mash through.
We're actually going to take a very, very slight time loss so that I can show off something kind of interesting. So when you're talking about video games, a lot of the times the designers intend for you to progress the game at kind of a rate. They're like, people will read at this speed, so it'll be all okay. And we can kind of cut shortcuts on a couple of the triggers, maybe. Maeda's going to have a pretty funny one coming up here in a couple of seconds here. But Puexel mentioned that this game is fairly short, about 10 hours on a casual playthrough if you're just going through the main game. I think that's... I often mention that I feel that Parasite Eve is the best aged Square RPG of the PSX era. It's not my favorite of the PSX era, but for like a modern gamer, I think that this is a great introduction to the world of RPGs and just a low impact game that, you know, you can come back to. You don't have to spend 40 hours kind of plotting through it or anything like that. Modern setting helps the game a lot.
And you have the weapon modding system that just gives you a lot of control and customization options for how you fight battles too, which translates into replay value in my book.
I mean, I'm gonna wonder where he's going here in a sec. Also, like, I don't know if you've seen.
I actually haven't seen this. No.
Like, Maeda, what are you? What are you doing? He found the doorknob. There, you go.
There we go.
He had to wait for his ATB to fill to leave the room.
How did you find that? Did you just set your controller down sometime?
Ironically, during a Let's Play through Two Best Friends Play, great channel for kind of their former game testers, so they have like some pretty interesting insight into gaming. So,
And just to kind of echo Turbo's point about this game aging really well, they kind of just give you all the plot, then have you do things in between. It's not, the cutscenes may seem kind of long, but they explain everything that's going on at once.
And if you're playing the game casually, I mean, you're going to be doing more stuff in the dungeons too than what we're doing in the speed run too. So it'll be definitely a lot more of the what you're doing is going to be gameplay.
There's not as much just kind of like, it seems like there's a lot of standing around, but there is a lot of, the dungeons are pretty deep in this game when you go into them. So
this is the slowest part of the game, is like the beginning of day 2 for the exposition dump, and basically coming up here when we go to the museum again. The museum is just an exposition dump place for the most part.
Yeah.
But
And the final dungeon, but you're going to be spending probably more time there watching cutscenes.
yeah, in all fairness, they did just, the start of the game is literally a building of people getting lit on fire. So they kind of have to explain something.
Yeah.
So, and they do a really good job of kind of explaining.
I mean,
this
we're not.
interesting
Yeah, I mean, we
theory of
haven't
the
really
game.
talked that much about the story, and that's never really my thing. When I'm commentating a speedrun, I'd rather talk about the gameplay and the routing and stuff. But I mean, the plot of this game is
mitochondria.
yeah, it's
Mitochondria.
it's a sci-fi game based on a kind of it's not based on a theory that mitochondria, which are components of cells and living things that create energy, are actually parasites that are foreign to the creature, and that Eve, who's the antagonist, has the power to control them, and if she turns them all on in a person's body at the same time, that causes them to combust.
Or
like
make
happened at the
lightning,
beginning.
or any other magic power they need, basically.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, is another thing from that same kind of Let's Play is they talk about how the basic premise for this game is a pretty simple one for sci-fi that you see a lot. It's like, take something that's real and change something around. Like, instead of this value being 6, now it's 7. And then just like, with that one change, like magic can happen, basically,
Yeah.
because so many things would change in physics based on it.
Yeah, none of what he's doing in here is required to. I mean, in order to be able to leave Soho and continue the story, he has to enter both the pharmacy and the gun shop, but he can just immediately leave. I mean, like in my segmented run, I just immediately left the pharmacy, although I did loot the gun shop.
Yeah, I went in there normally because I lost a revive. I went in there to get the revive, but again, for the purposes of the marathon, that actually has a lot of really good stuff in it
Yeah, like
for
a tool.
maintaining safety.
So that's your extra tool for armor modding then there.
Yeah. Tool, couple armor buffs, a medicine 3, which is crazy considering it's day 2.
Yeah. Oh, this
Yeah.
coming up right here, I'd kind of love to. Like, how did that not go right through her stomach based on where Daniel and the door are relative to each other?
Don't worry about it.
and where the bullet clearly hit the glass.
Mitochondria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the explanation for everything.
Gives
in
her
this game.
T1000 healing powers or something.
And
Alright. So yeah, this is all optional too, but there's there's good stuff in here. There's a couple weapons, pretty much all of which he's just going to be cannibalizing for bonuses of various types, and then also some weapon stat boost items.
Yeah, I'm trying to be very deliberate with this because, as Puexel mentioned, when you do this, you are actually breaking the weapon. So, yeah, you do not want to make a
You do not want to
mistake.
make this mistake, yeah. I mean, and like Turbodog mentioned earlier, the menuing in this game has some inconsistencies from run to run. Like depending on like how many medicines you've used through the chemical vest, because those take up spots in your inventory, and there's just little variations.
side note, Daniel and this other guy are incredibly fast. They're always where they need to be.
They're always one step ahead.
Yeah.
Now coming up is my most hated action trigger in the game is getting to that door there. It is like pixel perfect, I swear, as far as actually
Wow, this is great.
examining that door.
My document shut down. That's great. All right,
Okay.
we got there. We made it to the museum. So once again, like I said, light doesn't do that when you're driving the speed limit.
Yeah.
He's in a hurry. Cannot be deterred by signs that say
Yeah.
go this fast.
So that gun shop that he actually raided had his first machine gun that he could get in it too. Machine guns, the weapon type we're going to basically be using for the rest of the run, for two reasons primarily. One is a pretty fast ATB recharge rate for weapons. I mean, clubs go faster than guns, but guns do more damage and have better range.
You also can't improve clubs. Something that's kind of interesting when it comes down to it. Like you can't break tools into them or anything like that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean you can pump bonus points
Yeah.
into them, but you can't use tools to cannibalize them into each other. And then machine guns just also have the fastest attack animation for the number of bullets you fire. They do all of them except one that we don't get in the speed run. Do also have a weapon property to them called random rate of fire, and what that does is it increases the number of shots that you fire per round by 150%. So if you have a ×2 rate of fire, it becomes 3 shots. And that's generally not a good thing because it randomizes. It randomizes the targeting. But a nice thing though is that it doesn't affect the proration of the shots. So if you have, like we talked about probably like half an hour or so ago, having a ×2 shot multiplier or modifier reduces the damage for each shot to 60% of the weapon's base. So for 2 shots it becomes 120%. But when you have a 2-shot weapon with random rate of fire, that then becomes 180%.
Yeah, it won't follow that it turns into like a ×3. So it's a huge damage increase on single targets, which will show up far later in the run.
Yeah, but for normal fights against multiple enemies, it's just a huge source of randomness as far as how quickly he can win.
Yeah, and all the shots are dictated at the very beginning when you pick the attack. So let's say it decides to shoot the same enemy 3 times and you kill him in the first shot, all the rest of them are gone. So that's kind of, random has its ups and downs, but as Puexel mentioned, machine guns are just by far the best weapons in the game. Besides shooting fast that you mentioned, they also have the fastest reload speed and the fastest readying time, before you start shooting. So
Yeah.
they're just far and away
I don't think any of them. They all by default, I think, have fairly high shot modifiers to like ×5 or ×10. So we do use weapon modding because there's a number of types of weapon abilities that will override each other if you mod them with tools, and then shot modifiers are one of them. So one of the first things we do when we get a machine gun, which we get 2 of as part of the speedrun route, is to give them a ×2 effect by modding a pistol type weapon that has it onto the machine gun.
Also, we'll be running into a property later that overwrites random called spread,
Yes.
which is extremely good.
Yeah, we'll
get that later.
We'll let Turbodog show you what spread does before we explain it, just because it's that good and that flashy.
See, like atomic level in a natural history museum.
Yeah, and look and how small the microscope
Yeah,
is too. It's just like a science or like a science class microscope.
So let's see. This is a skip that I don't know what triggers it exactly, but we'll see if I can get it. It saves 1 second.
I don't even know what's coming.
All right. So I mentioned how. So most of the time, text boxes, you don't need to mash as fast as I am right now, because a lot of times there's an animation associated with the text box that has to play out before you can do it. Coming up here, we're going to zoom in on a computer, and if I can go fast enough or something aligns, I can maybe skip an animation. So we'll see.
That's pretty common in PlayStation RPGs too, is that you have characters that are like walking around during a cutscene, making like hand signals and stuff like that. And when you're mashing through text, the game will stop. I mean, in this game, a really nice thing actually about this game as a speed game is that the text draws out instantly. For each, well, there's actually a box around it. It's a bar, but each set of text draws out instantly. So you're only really limited by your mashing speed, and then also by natural points in the cutscene where the game will pause and wait for these animations to finish before it'll draw the next one. Are you past that skip yet, or is
Where
it still
it'll
coming?
come in a zoom in. It's like I said, it saves literally 1 second if I get it. But it's like it was such an oddity the first time it happened to me that I was like, did I just see that right? So let's see. Is Clamp going to turn off his computer, or is it just not going to do anything? All right, here we go. Ah, he got it. So like you can actually do it, and it just Daniel just looks mad at the computer, and then it just cuts away. But if you don't get it, then like Clamp runs in and turns it off, and you have to wait that extra second. But I still have no idea what triggers it, because like I can mash as hard as I can, and it's just like doesn't matter.
It would probably take like emulator or slowdown testing or something to see like which specific frame of the cutscene triggers it.
I actually wanted to check that out on the task at some point to see if it gets it, or if it's just some weird anomaly that happens sometimes.
Yeah. The task for this game is pretty outdated, but it was because I was the first person to ever route this game for any kind of real-time speedrunning, even though it was segmented instead of single segment or RTA. But the task was the only other kind of speedrun resource that was really available at the time, and it was where I got most of what's still the weapon modding and equipping route that's still used in this run here. There have been a number of changes, but the idea of using pistols, then rifle, and then machine guns is something that's still preserved. The task went through what turned out to be a completely optional section of the museum too, and lost like multiple minutes to that because of having to do extra fights. But it was a really good resource.
I believe it was because I saw the forum post in Speed Demo's archive. I believe, was it Sir VG that was working on the route as well? I remember there was a particular person that was
Sir VG and Carcinogen were. Back in I think it was like 2010, 2011, were both really interested in this game, and were helpful to me too as far as bouncing ideas off of.
Yeah, I believe VG made a comment to. It wasn't meant to be derogatory. Let me preface it with that. But he made a comment to one of the guys that was making suggestions. He's like, if you can't get a sub 20 in day one, like don't bother. Like, there's so many things that are like, oh. I guess it would help if I actually put on this machine gun.
Oh yes, yeah,
okay.
that is.
It's
Yeah,
all right,
because
we're-
the game actually requires you to have at least one club type weapon in your inventory at all times, because you are not required to have any guns. And if you lose all of your guns because of weapon modding, then the game automatically equips your most I think it's just your most powerful club that you have on you. So because he modded his weapon that he was using in the gun shop, he then ended up with his club, and
This is what happens when I don't look at my notes.
and then unfortunately forgot to actually equip the machine gun before the first battle of day 3.
That was actually still fine because a 3-turn is pretty common on that fight, so I got pretty
Yeah.
lucky with shots.
Yeah. And then for the NYPD precinct station in day 3, there's actually a bit of flexibility as far as what order you hit the required story triggers. I know in my segmented run I did the upstairs part first so that I could save and manipulate better luck on this fight here, but for a RTA run, I'm assuming it doesn't really matter. Oh, and then Taurus first and now Wayne are they do weapon modding, which you don't actually weapon modding via permits or baseball cards, which we don't actually do in the speed run, but they're also the item locker.
So that's the first hotspot that we can get in this game. So this is an example of what the game considers a random encounter.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is one thing that I really wish there was more kind of more concrete mechanical information available for as far as how these random encounters actually work. But every battle that he's fought so far has been tied to a specific trigger point, and then they're all 100% guaranteed. But after he's fought a battle, pretty much all of them, if he leaves the screen and then comes back, will get replaced by a chance to get a random battle instead, which is usually just a refight of the guaranteed battle he got the first time. But sometimes there's actually different enemy patterns that he could get instead. And there aren't really, I would say, that there's probably, like, I would even say maybe under 10 opportunities in the speedrun route to hit one of those.
There's quite a few, and it's... So, I have the recorded world record for this game, but not the official one. Unfortunately, Dream Bomb's actual world record was lost. It either didn't get
highlight
saved or
it or
anything like
something.
that.
But it's less than a minute difference. Isn't
Yeah,
it, in
about
real
50
time,
seconds, and the entire difference between our 2 runs was the luck in encounters that he got in the sewers coming up before me. So,
Yeah.
like, this game, once you get at the higher end, it's hairs like
Yeah,
that.
and stuff like that is kind of why I never really went for a good single segment run after I did my segmented run 5 years ago too. Was just how brutal the RNG would be to try to get a run of the same quality as my segmented run without resetting.
Yeah, I feel in my actual world record strats that I would use, I feel something like a 304 is possible, but I don't have the stomach for it. I'll probably continue to push this game for a little bit, but I think once I get under a 306, I'm done. This game is really brutal once you get around 309.
I think like a
so.
305 or something based on what I've seen would probably be faster than my segmented run too, because I think I know I saw one of Dream Bomb's runs that like on game time it was like a minute and a half behind my segmented run, and that was probably like a 307, 308 or something real time. Of course, my run was on a fat PS2.
Yeah,
too.
that as well. That's
Yeah.
something that I should mention is like, I often talk to Puexel about like a couple of ideas, just kind of bouncing things off of him. And what it really comes down to is a lot of the things that you'll see on Speed Demo's archive are run basically on a old model PS2, which is significantly slower than the stuff that I'm running on today. But yeah, that's then you're starting getting into the speedrun politics of console versus console. So stay away from that.
Which have no business messing with our charity marathon. So
Yeah, the minute that becomes an issue is the minute I probably would stop speedrunning. Like,
Yeah.
I love to say this for Symphony of the Night because there is such a discrepancy between versions. Good runners know what a good run is. Like regardless of what you're playing on, whatever hardware. And if somebody makes a comment on it otherwise, then you shouldn't listen to them because you know, you do this to improve yourself. You know, the only person you can bop is yourself at the end of the day.
Anyway, so back to the run here too. So these spiders have that web attack they use is really nasty if it hits you because it both does damage and I believe is guaranteed to inflict the slow status, which, like the name implies, slows down your ATB bar pretty significantly. Fortunately, though, when they start their animation to do it, their target for it is locked in. So once they're all in this particular fight, too, all three of the spiders are generally going to attack, do their first attack at the same time. So he basically, once he starts seeing them rear up, he just runs immediately so that they'll all miss him, and he should be able to ideally kill all three of them before they attack again. So this is a marathon safety concession here too, to both open that chest and then also grab a save here.
Yeah, something that I never thought, like, for the longest time, you know, 200 attempts of running this game, and I'd never had a problem on day 3. I was like, day 3 is free, and then, you know, all of a sudden, once I reached that 250 mark or whatever, all of a sudden I start dying to random ranges of damage, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I gotta save for marathon.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the last fight before the boss here can be a little dangerous if you get really bad machine gun targeting luck and bad damage rolls from getting hit. So unfortunately, taking that save meant he got a random encounter here because he revisited a screen he'd already cleared and ended up having to fight the spiders again. But it wasn't really too big of a deal. Unfortunately, you don't generally get really anything that benefits you from fighting random encounters too. Because you gain enough experience from force battles that you're pretty much always going to be the same level at every point throughout the game. The one exception, though, is that in order to learn the ultimate PE spell, you do have to fight at least one extra battle beyond the required ones.
So Baker is a great police chief, by the way. Instead of going back out the way he came, which he obviously cleared, right, he decides to grab the child, corner himself, not get rid of the dog that's obviously having trouble with 4 bullets in his gun. This great police work.
Oh, people that are particular fans of dogs might want to avert their eyes for the next 20 seconds or so too. Yeah, because that perfectly innocent little police dog we got introduced to now is now a Cerberus.
So I mentioned that bang up police work from Baker, but I would like to note that presumably for minutes that it takes you to get to this room, he's apparently fighting this thing barehanded.
Yes. Okay, so 2 more fights, I believe, before the boss.
Yeah.
This is kind of an interesting fight here too, in that I think it's the Crow is guaranteed to drop a tool.
Which I actually have a lot of medicine right now, so I'm going to make sure that I get it in my inventory, just in case. Okay. Yeah, I've been getting actually really fortunate with medicine.
Yeah. The rate that your HP grows has a scale to it too, and then also the amount that the types of medicine types of medicine and the healing spells do too. So once as he makes more progress in the game, the weaker types of medicine become just absolutely useless compared to the stronger ones. So once he kind of gets past this point, medicine 1 is really not useful anymore. So he's just going to try to just dispose of them probably just by using all of them at one point when he needs to heal to free up his inventory space. Okay, so that fight could have been a little bit dangerous, like if his machine gun luck was bad and didn't kill one of the enemies in one round, and that Catman or whatever it is, its shockwave attack can give you the defense down status, and then if that happens, he could potentially kill you if he's still alive and gets another turn. But
that's definitely happened to me before.
Yes, I don't know if I've actually died to that fight, but I know I've come close.
It was like
once or twice.
It was like defense down, crit for 80, crit for 75. He's dead instantly. I was like,
okay. All right, so then here we've got Shiva, the day 3 boss, which it has 3 heads, and each head is a separate target, and he has to kill all 3 of them to end the fight. And unfortunately, because of the machine gun having random targeting, he's at it's the RNG's mercy as far as that. They've got quite a number of Shiva has quite a number of nasty attacks it can use, like that shockwave is, as far as I know, completely undodgeable. It has a healing move, which each time it does it, that extends the fight by about a turn.
Yeah, I have to take a concession here because I can't guarantee that I'm going to proc my CM vest without it accidentally killing me. So I had to concede a heal there. Normally, in this fight, I can usually force body bumps, running into the enemy for contact damage to force CM vest, but yeah, I did not want to take the risk with that low a health that I
Yeah.
get a bad pattern.
Well, and as he kills the head, that just kind of accelerates the ends of the fight too, just because it reduces the number of targets that the game can randomly choose between for the machine gun. And once he's killed 2 of the heads, and the third one is going to die in the next turn pretty much every time.
That's pretty good too, as a 1 heal fight. When it heals, it takes away basically 1 turn from you, so not bad.
What I kind of noticed when I ran this game was that if you attack while Shiva is, or actually I don't even remember now, if you attack while Shiva is moving or when it's attacking, that'll increase the chance of its next attack being a shockwave. I actually don't remember the specifics, or I was kind of curious if you know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mentioned before we did this that like this game, especially during this kind of grinding session up to this event, I've been seeing new stuff like this whole week. Like attacks that I've never seen, damage ranges I've never seen. So, like, while I'm not too worried about anything else in the run, it's the things that I don't know about that the game has been showing me that have been kind of making me more cautious in certain areas.
Well, we've got a couple of donations that have gotten in.
Go for it.
Nalater sends in $50. Turbodog is one of my favorite runners in the community. And if you ever want help learning to run a game he knows, he is a great teacher. Good luck on the run, and beware the power of mitochondria.
Thanks, Annihilator.
Anonymous sends in $30. Donating cause donating is good, and it's Parasite Eve. Dragon Blitz sends in $5. Hey all, amazing stream for an amazing cause. Also, shoutouts to Turbodog for being super influential in the speedrunning community, producing great content and personally teaching me my favorite speed game as well as being an overall great guy. Thank you as well as everyone putting on this great marathon.
Thanks, Dragon. Your bribe's in the mail for all your kind words. Yeah.
And Anonymous sends in $20. Figure I toss in another 20. Put my money towards calling Lise Rydia. You're welcome, Shonen. And Pygon sends in $10. Have to admit that I am strangely addicted to speedrun marathons, though I never know any of the names of the groups who put the marathons on. Birthday's tomorrow, Stellaris is downloaded, got the week off, and looking forward to rocking this stream for the week.
So we're hearing a lot of people donating. Probably the game that I'm most well known for is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, because I produced kind of an in-depth tutorial for it that's teaching people it.
Yeah,
So-
I've never run that game myself, but I have followed the speedrunning scene for it fairly closely over the years too, and it's been really cool just to see how how constantly new stuff is found in a game that old too,
Yeah.
for all of the different categories of it.
So, I mean, if I get any donations towards me, it's kind of related to that, and that's why I mention it. So, obviously, coming from the RPG community, we lost a person that was very influential in chat through Everhate. Actually, the Soden community lost a person very recently as well. A young man by the name of Zex, who was a Richter runner and a very, very talented one at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of beating him briefly at the AGDQ event, where I think it was 2014, where he did a really, really fun, cool race against Mecha Richter at Richter All Bosses, and I met him briefly, and he was a really nice and chill guy.
So for the purpose of like any donations where the money's going to me, it's a long shot because of how contested it'll be, but there's a Shining Force 2 run coming up with naming conventions. If I could get the money towards naming Peter Zex, just ZE and fill the rest in with X's.
However many X's.
Yeah, 7
to
X's,
fit
but
it,
it's
yeah.
however much you can.
Okay.
I'd really love to see that. It's going to be contested, but I'd love to see that happen.
Could maybe mention the Seiken Densetsu 3 incentives coming up too, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've got a whole bunch of incentives coming up for Seiken Densetsu 3. Right now, what's coming up, what's on the table actually, is to name the 3 characters being used in the run. So you can name Carly or Angela, depending on the route. You can name Kevin, and you can name Lise. You can also donate toward the storyline choice. Right now, Dragon Emperor is leading with $754. After that is Archdemon with $36, and Dark Lich is at $10. So, if you want to see another one of these fine routes, all of them are quite excellent. Please donate toward one of these routes.
Okay, so anyway, we're in the hospital basement, which is the dungeon of day 4, and this is actually my favorite dungeon in the game. I just really love the overall atmosphere of this place, as far as the camera angles it uses for a lot of the shots, the lighting, the music, and this is also another rare opportunity to actually skip a fight, because that room he was just in. Because anyway, to get out of the basement, he has to collect some fuses, and you're going to do the correct way to fix the fuse box, right?
There's a correct way?
Yes, where you touch the wires.
Oh,
After
do we
turning
want
the power on.
Do we want to see what happens?
I think we do.
Okay,
I always
alright,
do it if I
alright.
run this game for marathons.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, he has to collect those fuses to repair the elevator. That room where he got the first fuse, he could have actually. There was a door in the northwest corner of the room, but that had a fight trigger in front of it, so it's faster to actually just go the other way, which has a couple extra screen transitions, but skips a fight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that trigger is like that. Like, that was one of the first things I was like, please, is this a hotspot? Like, can I gamble on it at least? Like, no, you're set in there. I thought it was funny how you refer to a hospital basement as a dungeon. It's like notorious for their torturous experiments.
Well, hey, look at this autopsy room here. And because this is a hospital, almost every monster in this place drops medicine too. Like you'll get quite a few medicine 3 drops, which heal 180 HP as opposed to like 30 medicine 1. So you're gonna not your medicine supply is not going to be hurting at all after the hospital basement.
So there was a nice example of 3 shots on one thing and it died in one. There's another one.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone missed our explanation, the machine gun at this point has a random effect on the targeting, and all of the shots, 3 in this case, are selected at the beginning of the turn, and any that target an enemy that's killed before they get the shots just get wasted then.
So the hospital is the first part where I would say that inventory management is a huge part of this. So oftentimes you may see me enter my menu at what might seem like odd places in order to manage out my inventory like that. I've actually done a slight bit of rerouting a couple days before coming down here as to how I want to use up my items, just to open up space a little bit more effectively, which will actually carry over to my normal runs, which is nice. So it wasn't just all marathon prep. I did find a couple of nice little improvements. This is my favorite, just dork in the game, Rat Boy. He's equal parts thriller and prancing, and he just throws fireballs. Nice little prance there. Okay, so for example, I have a lot of items, and I'm full, I think, right now.
So, yeah, just getting rid of weaker medicine at this point is a pretty easy way to get some inventory space, along with throwing away either junk or status recovery items that you don't need very
Which is
badly.
basically junk.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, the only thing that I would potentially find useful would be a darkness cure for a very annoying and specific monster coming up in day 5. But beyond that, status recovery items are largely useless for speedrun.
But yeah, just inventory management is a huge part from this part on, and even if it's medicine, you still might want to throw it away. As Puexel mentioned, sometimes it's just you're going to get better medicine, so you want to make room for that. So this is where the other major
yes.
chest luck is.
Yes, this is a pretty significant gatekeeper to speedrunning this game and getting a really good time too. Is the micro Uzi chest that's coming up. So anyway, the right after this room here is a chest that has. Do you actually know what the percentage chance is?
It didn't list it in the Brady strategy guide, so that makes me think 50-50, and that's
been my
that
kind
would
of
be
hunch
pretty
too.
good.
Yeah, so this chest has a 50% chance of having, for our purposes, the best weapon in the game, the micro Uzi, and it could have. I think the M9 is the
M10, but
M10 is the alternative, and it's weaker for reasons we'll get into later. And
M10. Okay, so that's a soft reset.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we make the save. You know, like in single segment runs, that's why it's so frustrating. Is in single segment.
Because by this point, you're already past stuff like the worms, you're past a couple chances to get random encounters, just a lot of... You're basically halfway through the run when you get to this chest, and it could all end right here based on a coin flip.
Yeah, I mentioned the 80-20 chest in the park and the 50-50 here. So if nothing else, like if you execute perfectly, still only 40% of runs will make it past this part. Which is brutal. Obviously, that's why I always tell people, until you're pushing like a sub 310, just take the save.
Okay, so you got it second try, so that's not bad at all. So yeah, the main reason why, for our purposes, the micro Uzi is the best weapon in the game is because it has 4 slots for weapon abilities, and all of them are open immediately. Most weapons in this game, like it actually, you can kind of see, well, it's gone now, but yeah, so for some of the weapons, you can see that some of the ability slots are locked out with the special icon, and the way you unlock those slots is with Wayne, basically giving him either mod permits or baseball cards. But the micro Uzi has 4 slots that are all open, so we can make a massively overpowered weapon for pretty minimal time commitment. With this.
Pretty clear that Wayne doesn't believe in gun control. You know, he'll modify your gun illegally for trading cards.
Yeah. So okay, that was a really good mixed man fight too. So the mixed men, I think, is their official name. Their attack is to spawn this bouncing ball bomb thing that it counts as a separate target, and when you can't control the machine gun, the bomb will basically waste shots. Okay, so the correct way to fix the fuse box is to put the fuses in, turn on the power, and then repair the wires. I always like to do this when I'm doing kind of less serious runs.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird thing, how you have to move slightly to the side, so Aya has to path back. So you said to turn on the power and then repair the cables, right?
Right.
That's what we need to do? Okay. All right, so the power's flowing, so we just got to repair them now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seems safe. And
Yep.
didn't seem to work.
No.
I saved, right?
Yeah. No, but she's okay. She's
This is
okay
fine.
because mitochondria. Yeah. So yeah. I just love that you can do that, and that the game actually it doesn't just give you a text message that says, "Hey, the power is on. Maybe I shouldn't touch this live wire." Something, and it just lets you go to town doing it.
You might say that was very shocking. Essentia would be proud.
Yes.
Our protagonist makes some questionable
Now that we've got a
decisions so
significant,
far.
this is my favorite music, yeah, this is my favorite music in the game, by the way, but I like to call this the music upgrade.
Yeah, this is, for some reason, like, I always think Beverly Hills Cop when I hear this, like, just a slight tinge on it. I
just think this really sums up the game very well, too, where it's just this uneasy track where it just gives you the sense that all is not right in this world.
It's very good for building the tension in the areas you're in.
I used heal 2 to heal a whole 7 HP because I was unfamiliar with how much I had. It's all right. So this is a great example of how random can be rough on you, is when you have this many targets.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I'm fortunate here.
Fortunately, these protoplasms, or whatever they are, I mean, like a lot of other enemies in the game, their target is locked. Their target point is locked in when they start their animation, so you can dodge that pretty easily, unless they're just right in your face, in which case it can be hard.
So nice little casual tip. If you come into this room the first time with very little inventory, you can search behind that counter, and it has infinite trading cards the first time you come in here, which is pretty interesting and nice if you just want to stock up on them.
I think I used to know that, but forgot. That was pretty good machine gun luck on that guy.
Yeah.
And that guy.
So coming up here, after this next battle, we're going to have kind of a cutscene, and then we're going to come to what I call like the hospital gauntlet, which is the next, like after the next one, the next 3 rooms all have a chance at a hotspot. So you could potentially lose like 2.5 minutes if all of them proc.
Yeah, because yeah, even though we haven't actually done a screen it's this next screen right here that has a fight in it, and then that goes in directly into a cutscene. Even though there's no like fade out effect, the cutscene counts as a screen transition, so you could get another fight before leaving.
Yeah, which is pretty frustrating.
Yep.
It's actually okay if I get 1 encounter, because 1 encounter will give me enough experience to guarantee that I have haste on the boss at this place.
Yeah, I mean, since I avoided all encounters, I had to work out strats for the boss that didn't use haste.
I think it is faster to not get any of the encounters, but
in a single segment run, the odds of getting all the way to this point without any randoms at all is not very high. So I mean, if you're gonna get one, you might as well make use of haste then. Because yeah, haste, which you'll be getting before the boss here, is probably the most useful PE ability in the whole game for speed running. Because it increases both your ATB recharge rate for about 4 turns if you have the ATB rate of the machine gun, and it also increases your movement speed pretty significantly, which for a number of fights where the camera is zoomed out a lot and you have a really wide field, that's really, really useful. Like the boss of the hospital, the giant spider.
Yeah, and the difference is extremely substantial. It's about 5 seconds for an ATB without, 3 with. So a lot of
so it
good
easily
action
makes
economy.
up for the time you spend casting it, as far as just the faster ATB rate.
As long as you get about 3 turns worth of it. Like if it would take 3 turns to kill something without it, you might as well cast haste.
I know we talked about how hotspots aren't really how the mechanic works isn't really as understood, but is it just like every single room has a chance for a hotspot, or only specific?
It's rooms that had a forced encounter in it the first time you entered them, and then if you leave the screen or it forcibly transitions like it did there for that flashback cutscene, if you revisit that room, then you have a chance at a random encounter. I wish the odds of it were actually known to. And also, because I want to say, too, that that's the only real potential that running away could be useful, too, is against randoms, because you could get another chance to dodge it completely.
So we got past the entire gauntlet without getting encounters, which is, I made an exasperated look, not because that's not good for time, but like I said, I would really have loved to have had haste for the boss. So, yeah, we'll work around it. I've defeated the boss before with it, or without it, I should say. How do you dodge this guy? He always jumps on top of me both times. Like it's just.
I wish I remembered, but.
like how? Nope.
Yeah. Super huge, super small room, super huge hitbox.
And fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually using my medicine here not to empty out my inventory, but because I have to conserve my parasite energy here for these next couple rooms. So I haven't used an ability called Energy Shot, but it has a variety of very nice things about it. It has infinite range, it pauses the game while it does it, and it does damage based on how much parasite energy you have. It empties your bar. This leaves you vulnerable after it, but it does a lot of damage. It can't miss, and it has infinite range.
And you can control the target, which is a really big thing for these next couple fights here. And also, if you use it and you actually kill the last enemy, then the fact that you're stunned briefly afterwards is irrelevant.
Yeah. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to hit this mixed man at least once with the machine gun, and then use the energy shot to finish it off before it releases its ball or tumor, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of my segmented run strats that was definitely applicable to single segment too.
Okay, we got a hit.
You got a hit. So, yeah, he wasn't able to kill it before he released the bomb, but he's going to be able to kill it before it does it again.
Yeah, which is, that's the best you can hope for. We also didn't get slowed down, which is a ability that they use very regularly and is difficult to avoid effectively.
Yeah, because in this, I mean, he could have done it in the first Mixed Man fight that he did after getting the Micro Uzi, but in that the Mixed Man was alone, and in this fight it had 2 protoplasms with it. So the odds of actually hitting the body aren't really that good without using Energy Shot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you gotta weigh your chances on it, so I'm not gonna take a 1 in 4 chance at getting...
which gets worse every time it releases a bomb.
Remember that every single hospital has a huge red button hidden behind a cabinet for some reason.
Behind an autoclave or whatever that was, yeah. Oh, this hospital gets better, too, once we get to the screen right before the boss. So yeah, because like Turbodog just said, the amount of damage that Energy Shot does is based on how much PE you have. He wasn't able to do that same trick again here, but because there was only one other enemy here besides the Mixed Man. It wouldn't have really.
I'm actually totally
as
fine
much.
with this too, because I want to preserve my Parasite energy for the boss. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have haste, which is going to be a problem.
This
See, this is exactly
this is terrible luck,
yeah.
by the way, too. And it's giving him slow status, too, which slows his movement and his ATB speed.
You know, I'm so glad that we reiterate a point that can go wrong, and then the game shows it to us, just so people think we aren't lying.
Yep. Alright, so here we've got our last normal fight in the hospital.
Okay. It could have been. Yeah, I'll keep that, just in case. I don't think I'll need it, but yeah. The spider can be problematic without haste. He can be... There can be issues even if you have haste with the spider, if it gets good ATB luck, but yeah.
It's there, it burned its turn trying to release a bomb that you'd already killed.
Nice
Wait, how did
resist.
that hit you?
It was a resist.
Oh.
0 damage.
That was a good fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this hospital gets even more amazing because we find out that all of these historical patient files about Aya's family are stored in the exact same room as the sperm bank.
No one would ever think to look there, ever, for any reason.
Yeah.
They were probably actually in the freeze room.
When you're trying to hide sensitive information, that's where you'd put it.
Yeah.
The most sensitive.
All right, and then we also, for reasons, get a piece of junk forced into our inventory as part of that cutscene there too. So that just gets thrown away here for the space.
Okay. So because I don't have haste, I'll take this save. If I did, I would just go.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, with haste, the spider boss is pretty easy, but without it, it's.
You know, we're
It's
gonna
not,
say
I wouldn't
that.
say
and
it's.
then-
I wouldn't say it's overly difficult, but it's not. It's not free without haste.
We're gonna say that, and now it's gonna like crit me for like 195 or something.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, I mean, the first. I would say it's a 2-stage fight, and I would probably say the first stage is by far the more difficult one, just because of the camera being zoomed out and there being these fan or air conditioner units or whatever they are that are obstacles. The giant spider has the same web attack as the smaller spiders that we fought in day 3, but it shoots 3 of them at once. Its AI is set so that if you're pretty close, it'll do different attacks instead of that. So we want to stay pretty close to the spider in order to manipulate its AI. But doing that when the camera is zoomed out really far is a little easier said than done if you don't have haste, because it moves pretty fast, especially in the first phase.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that is really interesting as well is the fact that they don't always give you a big room to fight in this game. So being able to manage your movements along with dodging the attacks is a big part of it as well, which is really, again, a very unique mechanic to this game and very interesting to me. So are we going to get lucky? Okay, maybe? Okay, good. I'm totally fine with her slapping me a bunch of times. She just, as long as she doesn't use her web, I am cool with her hitting me for 17.
So what we don't want to have what we don't want to have happen is the spider to back away and then shoot webs. Okay, that was really, really good
Yeah.
for a no haste fight.
So now we want to shoot her a couple times, and I mentioned how I wanted to conserve my PE. Normally I would use haste,
Yeah,
but
you
it
can.
would
I
regen.
mean, she always swings immediately at the start of phase 2. So if you can dodge that swing if you need to. But his health was so high that it didn't really matter.
Oh, sorry. Apology stream. Okay.
You're
Nice little-
expecting that. Oh no, that is the kill. Okay, that was weird.
Nice little revenge attack there. Nice Rondo reference. So now we come to a place where I'm sure almost
a lot of people
everybody has died.
Yes, this is such a horrible, horrible troll by Square.
So if you don't get off of this roof in time,
You die.
Game over.
It's game over. Yep, and the game does a really horrible job of telling you what exactly you have to do to get off.
yeah, and really that you're even in danger to some extent. Like you can hear the sound getting louder, but you don't. It's an RPG, right? Like, and I touched the wire. That didn't kill me. It didn't even damage me. So,
Yeah.
oh, this pilot shouldn't have eaten the chili.
Yes.
Oh, that's gonna be hard to clean up.
I like how the other jet runs into
Yeah,
it.
it just runs right into him.
So there's like 2 places in the game, and we'll touch the
You
other
have-
one
if
later.
you know where this is not a tight window at all, by the way, because you can kind of fumble around and still get off in time. But if I mean, you have to go all the way to this kind of elevator thing over here, and if you take too long, then the plane will crash and kill you.
Okay, so we're gonna have a bit of an exposition dump. Nothing too much happening.
Oh,
except
and then
we have-
for whatever reason, you have to fight another regular spider here, and I have actually died to this before.
Dream has 2. Also.
Yes.
You're like, he doesn't hit that hard.
Because
Crit,
if
dead.
if you just took a lot of damage from either the other fights in the hospital or the boss, then you could potentially get killed by this.
or no medicine. you know,
Yeah,
any number
by
of
this
things.
weak little spider here that just dies. Well, it should die to 1 round of machine gun shots if you
one
get a
crit.
crit with the one of the shots.
But as I mentioned, we got a couple minutes for donations if you have anything.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple of donations. Odin Smash sends in $10.
Oh, it's a friend of mine, Odin Smash.
Time for another donation. Great to see games like Parasite Eve get some marathon love for a change. Since I've already donated toward the Demon Chocobo today, I'll be nice here and let Puexel choose what the donation goes toward. Keep up the great work, everyone, and may the splits be gold. And Nirm sends in $50. Dream Team, Best Team. Let's name Kevin after someone who actually comes to marathons.
Wow.
Oh. I'll put that donation to my choice to no Demon Chocobo.
Alrighty then. Like to remind everyone that we've got stuff coming up for SD3. You can still name Kevin, Lise, and Carly or Angela depending on the route. You can also donate toward which storyline the runners will do for SD3.
Anyone doesn't even know what that is, by the way, it's the sequel to Secret of Mana that was a Japanese-only game. It's a really cool game with really cool music, and you should definitely watch it.
Yeah, it has great music.
Shining friend DMC 8th are going to be co-oping that with Feral Pigman, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy to see him.
Yeah, he's
Come over.
he's the #1 runner of that game outside of Japan too, so you should all be in for a treat.
Yeah, he came. DMC Aether came down from Chile, or
Chi-
came up from
Came
Chile.
up from well, he could have gone down. It just would have been a lot less
Yeah.
efficient to go across both ice cat or both poles.
And we're very lucky to have him.
Yeah.
We got more cutscenes, by the way,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
keep,
Oh,
keep them coming.
A lot of cutscenes. There are some prizes coming up for runs. I did mention SD3 later, so if you do like SD3, there are a couple prizes for that. One of the prizes happens to be a knit rabbite hat.
by my friend Silver Trish.
and that'll be a $10 minimum. And there will also be a SD3 English reproduction cartridge,
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
and that'll be a minimum donation of $5, and that was brought in by Gamer Ryan. So for SD3, those two prizes are coming up.
Okay. So here we've got day 5, which is the longest day in the game. This is I think this is 100% optional here, but we get 2 really good chests for a fairly minor detour. One, I mean that place right there is actually a fairly nasty optional dungeon that has a
At the time you can access
at the time
it,
you can get there, yeah. And there's a save point inside, so it's very easy to save and then get stuck there because you can't get out. But anyway, you got a tool, and you also got PPK, James Bond's weapon of choice. But that weapon comes with the preemptive ability, which gives him a random, do you know the percentage or?
Give me one moment here to think.
It gives you a
sorry.
random chance to start a battle with a full ATB bar. So even though it is random, you're generally going to get enough preemptives in the remainder of the run to make up the time you spent going to get the PPK.
After accidentally tooling it recently, absolutely it makes up the time.
Because
yeah,
you
it's
just saw. I
crazy.
mean, you just saw how long he had to wait before he could take his first turn in this fight. So if he'd have gotten a preemptive, that would have saved several seconds just on one fight.
Say 3 turns. And that's the thing, is there's a lot of times where you think like there's only 2 enemies, but so often because of random or just, you know, random things happening, fights can very often take 3 turns of shooting. to finish
Fortunately, our little random predicament is about to come to a pretty satisfying conclusion. And we'll, like I said, we'll because we're gonna get our first shotgun type weapon once we get through Chinatown here into the Chinatown sewers. And the shotgun weapons are actually pretty bad by themselves, because they have a ability called burst, which we'll explain the effects of later. But they have really slow ATB rates. But the burst effect does it overwrites random. So as soon as he gets the I think it's like the M870, or I don't remember the name of it, but the shotgun's in the sewers, he's going to immediately mod burst onto his micro Uzi, and you'll see what that happens when he gets into the next fight after it.
And this is I mentioned how in the hospital you start to see hotspots. This is where they really start to kick in. As I mentioned, the main difference between my run and Dream's run is the luck in this day and on this dungeon. And for example, I just lost probably about 30-40 seconds because I got that encounter. Again, once you get really good at certain games, like those are the things that really make a difference. in your
Yeah, and
ability
this
to
is after
progress.
the micro Uzi chest too.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of free time and patience in order to really push this game to its limits. But
I'd say that's pretty similar for a lot of
for
RPGs.
a lot of RPGs, especially, yeah, just because unless it's one where there's just like end-to-end RNG manipulation, you're just going to need to do a lot of runs before the game just gives you the luck, and you execute based on it in order to just give you a really good product.
Yeah.
All right, so the Chinatown sewers is it's a fairly long it's a fairly long place, but if you know where you're going, you can get out with only a couple encounters. But it is home to what I would probably say is just the absolute most annoying regular enemy in the game, the bats.
Easily.
What a surprise. Bats are horrible enemies.
Yep. I guess Turbodog just loves running games that have bats in them. But yeah, anyway, bats. Bats only attack, I believe, is this sonar wave, that right there. And if it hits you, it will give you the darkness status, which
You basically don't hit anything.
yeah, I believe I want to say that the in-game effect for it is that it reduces your range stat to 1 or something like
Yeah.
that. And you'll see what it does if you let the kind of the range sphere grow out while you have the darkness status, and it's basically nothing at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you're just not going to hit stuff pretty much ever as long as you have darkness. And does it wear off on its own? Or?
It wears off on its own. And we also mentioned something that is relevant for it, which is that energy shot will just hit.
Yeah.
So like if you get in a lot of trouble and you get darkness, sometimes it's better to just concede your Parasite energy bar and get rid of a bat.
The bats do drop darkness cure items too, when you kill them. And
Nice.
And, oh, no encounter here. I wish this place was better understood too, because the Chinatown sewers is really the only place where even first time visiting screens, there's some randomness, both as far as whether you get encounters or not, and what the formations are in some cases. All right, we have now got our.
Never mind.
All right, one moment,
all
please.
right, we'll go ahead and
Yeah.
we'll get it next encounter.
Yeah, as far as showing off what the burst weapon property does.
Yeah, I did a little bit of a gamble there. This is actually the first time I haven't gotten ambush. So this is blind in action, by the way.
Yeah, maybe let the sphere draw out on their next turn too, just to actually show what it does. Oh, it cured already. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it actually did extend all the way. It just
Yeah, it just looks like this tiny little
it like covers your
ball.
knees. That's about it.
It's then the equally hilarious to think too is if you have a maxed out file that has 999 range, just see what the range sphere looks like. It just goes off the screen in every direction in most cases.
We mentioned how your procs. Well, okay. Let's do. Yeah, we'll do this. I'm too far away.
I mean, these bats are just so awful too, just because how their attack works. Unless you do what he did there, where like run under them. If you're near the top of the screen, because their sonar wave increases in size as it comes towards you. It's pretty much impossible to avoid in this room if you allow them to shoot it at you in a way that it kind of covers the whole screen.
Yeah, I always mention that birds are the natural predator of the speedrun.
Yeah.
And what are bats but birds that don't have feathers?
Yep. This screen always reminds me of where you fight Airbuster in Final Fantasy VII, as far as this T-shaped catwalk. But instead of a goofy mecha, there's a fight with a single bat here,
which is far more dangerous if you've done the speedrun for FF7.
Yep. And then I mean, I guess unless there's been new tech or something.
I'm
or,
just
or
gambling.
You just got lucky.
Yeah, I gamble there.
As far as because if you just run towards the bat, in a lot of cases it's going to shoot you before you can get close enough to shoot it and guarantee a kill in one round. But yeah, he got lucky as far as I think it just chose to move backwards with it instead of attacking.
My thought process on that is that so normally you could use like energy shot to kill it from a far distance, but the thing is I'm gonna have to run all the way down the bridge anyway.
Right.
So if I can make it there and avoid having to use energy shot, that gives me parasite energy for the next couple encounters.
Yep.
So it's a good gamble.
And if it blinded you, I take it you'd then use energy shot to kill it
absolutely.
instead.
So here we can see that the jello is infecting the water supply.
Yeah, this is one of many cutscenes in this game too, where Aya just stares at something supernatural with her gun pointed at it, and then just does nothing, and then the situation resolves itself.
Mitochondria.
Because mitochondria.
That's pretty much the blanket statement, right? Just don't worry about it or mitochondria. So one of the things I mentioned how amazing it is with the rear view mirror, but one of the things this game really benefits from is the use of pre-rendered graphics for the backgrounds. If you're familiar with games that really tried to use the early 3D of the PlayStation, many of them suffered from tons of graphic lag or maybe not so detailed character models. Pre-rendered backgrounds make you able to use all of those polygons, all those resources on the characters, the things that people want to watch a lot, and they still look really
Yeah,
good.
like I touched on earlier, this game was released not too long. I think it was 98 was when this first came out in Japan
sounds
at
about
least. Right. And it was not too long after Final Fantasy VII, but there's a pretty significant upgrade in the quality of the polygon models. You do have to turn the pump back off, by the way, in order to be able to continue. Otherwise, this channel here is still flooded.
So just like I maybe a few months ago found out that the shock doesn't kill you, I actually thought that killed you if you went in there without turning in the pump. So. But once you're grinding New Game Plus items, you go on autopilot, you make mistakes, go in the wrong room.
All right, so now we're in the subway here, and yeah, Turbo is definitely going to take a safety save here because there is a pretty dangerous boss coming up shortly.
Second most dangerous boss in the speedrun. and probably, I'd say, most dangerous casually, and maybe even most dangerous for, like, if you're just getting into the speedrun. Like, this is definitely one of those bosses that you're going to struggle with for a very long time, and even when you learn the game, you know, you can run into some trouble.
Yeah, he's past the bats now, so Cure Darkness is completely useless.
We're going to keep one just in case we run into an issue with the centipede. He can actually darkness you.
Oh, yeah, because each piece of it has different status conventions.
The electricity shot from the tail in phase 1 can do it.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoping that we get a cure poison, but I don't think we will. I would want to have that for safety against the boss as well. So something that I just barely started implementing. I showed the pause strat for the worms, but you can actually use a pause strat for the poison rain on the upcoming boss. This one's a little harder because the projectiles move much faster and you don't see them coming.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have haste on, that helps a lot as far as being able to dodge the centipede boss's poison shower attack. But it's random where the droplets fall, and if you get hit by it, you're probably all right. So now we finally get to see Burst in action. Burst basically gives each one of your shots an AoE property where it'll cause splash damage to other enemies that are nearby. I believe how much depends on how close they are to the enemy that you shoot with it. And
okay, he can attack twice out of the crowd. Sure.
And he now thankfully also has regained actual full control over his targeting for his weapon too. It did bump him back down to only getting 2 shots around instead of 3, but just because he's guaranteed to get the 2 shots instead of potentially 1 in some cases now.
So I had to clean up my inventory a little bit there before this. This boss can drain your medicine like crazy, and that's why I say it's dangerous. Even if it doesn't kill you, it can put you in a position where the next encounter can kill you very easily.
Alright, so the giant centipede is a 2-stage fight. We have to do this, and then it's going to split up. So, poison shower. He's pause buffering just to see the shadows of where they're falling. That bite hurts a lot. It's another one of those cases where you'd want to try to avoid, try to take contact damage instead of letting the bite hit you, but the lightning shower, by the way, if you're standing right next to the, or kind of to the left or right of the centipede's head, it won't be able to hit you.
Yeah, like I said, I have to take that basically.
Because this fight's long enough that the poison. Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this. We're gonna run out this darkness, and hopefully not get completely destroyed. And we just got completely destroyed. All right. So we're in trouble. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. Next phase.
Fortunately, poison damage does cause the proc. All right, so this phase 2, the centipede split it up into 4 pieces: the head, the tail, and then 2 body segments. It looks like he's using basically the same strat I did in my segmented run, which is starting the second phase off by energy shotting the tail, because if he energy shotted one of the body segments, that would be way more than it takes to kill it, so he'd be wasting, I think, like 40-50 damage or so.
Roughly that much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas if he energy shot the tail, he could then kill it with a round of machine gun attacks before they attack, and that gets rid of it, and then also makes it actually possible to dodge its first attack. Because if all 4 of the pieces are still alive, good luck dodging all of them without haste, which is generally going to be worn off.
Okay,
Another kind of cool thing about phase 2 of the centipede too is that when the pieces, which are random by the way as far as their movement, when they switch places with each other, they do so by jumping. And if they overlap with each other when they're jumping, you can actually hit multiple pieces at once with the burst effect of the micro Uzi, which is a really nice way to save like a round or 2. But it's like a lot of things in this game, it's random whether you even get a chance for it or not. Like I know in my segmented run, my finished segment ended up not even actually getting that, unfortunately. So this is all going into the subway car here is optional, but he gets some tools that he can use to just deconstruct some of his spare weapons that he's gotten as drops from bosses to give more attack power to his micro Uzi. It adds up enough to cut off a couple turns off of various fights in the remainder of the game.
Annihilator, would you do the honors of getting ready for a disc swap? Okay, so there's a button on the left side of the tray.
Left side, please.
Okay.
That always nervoused me about
Disc 2, yeah.
about slim PS2s.
And I'll let you know.
This is of Square RPGs usually tend to tie disc changes to kind of epic moments or whatever. Not the case in Parasite Eve. It's just this super random.
The Jello's invading the city. What are you talking about? That's that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and go for it. Yeah, that one. It's all right. Don't be too worried. Yeah. Don't worry. I've already killed 2 races on accident this weekend.
That is true.
Yeah.
You did manage to do that.
Sorry.
If they designed it kind of like the Final Fantasies, I would expect they would have tied the disc change to maybe the start of day 5 or.
Also, maybe a
something
save,
like that,
so that if
give you-
something's wrong, yeah.
Yes, but it's just this completely random moment after the centipede.
So I kind of want a fight here. Okay, good. So what's nice about this is by getting into this fight, I guarantee that I have enough Parasite energy to cast haste in the battle that's way more dangerous than this one.
Oh, nice dodge with the bat there.
Nice double crit also.
Yeah.
See, so taking that fight allowed me to build up a little bit, and that little bit is going to pay huge dividends on the next fight.
Yeah, in the first fight in the museum, which is the final dungeon of the game, and also by vast amounts the longest. Just because of just how many forced fights there are, mostly.
Yeah, no more chess luck either. So now it's just playing smart and, just playing well, really. Like, there's a little bit of problems, but, we're beyond the worst of it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Who discovered this sequence break?
Me.
Do you know? Okay.
As far as skipping the west wing of the museum, yeah, that was me.
So do you want to kind of explain the intended path and then what we're going to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you come into the museum, I mean, the game pretty not so subtly hints that you should go into the west wing of the museum just because you immediately see Clomp run through that door and then close it. The tool-assisted run I did for my... I used as my research material for segmented run, did that whole part, and it's like 3 total extra fights you get if you go there. There's 2 in the West Wing, and then there's a fight with frog dinosaurs added to that rainforest exhibit there too. But it's all optional. Yeah. You can just skip going in through that wing and just head straight up to the scorpion here.
I don't want to fight humans. I want to fight monsters.
and it just, I mean, it has there's nothing you have to do in that West Wing, and so we skip it.
Scorpion making a guest appearance from Resident Evil 0.
Yeah.
The game where your enemies are literally just big stuff.
So these scorpions are really, really deadly if they hit you. That tail can do like 150 plus damage or so. But
it has a bad hitbox too.
Yeah, but fortunately, if you have haste on, it's kind of easy to manipulate the AI of the scorpion. Ooh. Oh, nice. Thought for sure that was going to hit you.
Yeah. It comes out like a little weird, and the wave pattern kind of.
I guess this particular scorpion, it's kind of easier to dodge because of how small the room is. It's a lot easier to just get next to its head so that it dodges you. But I usually find that if I have haste, the rate that I get my turns and the rate that I shoot, if I shoot the scorpion and interrupt it swinging its tail, that'll manipulate its next attack to also be a tail swing. So I can just kind of keep doing that until it's dead.
So we're going to try... So Puexel mentioned that spread's very powerful, but you kind of have to weigh it a little bit because if you have to spend your entire round setting up a shot for spread, it's not worth it. You're better off just taking the shot and then moving on. So you'll see me sometimes setting up for a spread, but if I can't get it in a time-efficient manner, then oftentimes I'll just forsake it and just go for the
Right.
shot.
Yeah, because there's so many fights with these both like raptor style dinosaurs and the frog style ones, and even though you're leveling up through this, it never really changes how many shots it takes to kill each one. So yeah, you have to fight a lot of these, and you have to make their movement, especially the frogs, which jump around, is a lot of randomness, and you do have to make just a lot of on-the-fly decisions about where to aim your shots or try to get in the most damage per round.
You call them frogs? I always thought they were like chameleons or something, but I guess they're like dinosaurs of some type. So.
They jump.
The jumpers.
They jump around, yeah.
Do they jump or yump?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Equally and without
I mean,
prejudice.
even though it might seem a little kind of random in some cases how a spread works, you can actually tell when your target, when you're selecting it, will glow, and then any other enemies that would get hit by the spread will also glow. So obviously you want to choose as quickly as possible, but that is a minor resource you can make use of if the situation calls for it.
Something that you will never see me do in this run is you can actually cancel your shooting by pressing square mid-shot. I don't use this for obvious reasons because it would reduce the damage I'm dealing, basically waste part of my turn. However, like, if you're gonna die during your shooting time, yeah, you definitely want to use that to your advantage.
They're giving you pretty.
Nice.
That was
That was
really
really
good. Yeah. And
Got
the
4
nice
medicines
yeah,
also, which is nice.
These armored armadillos, as I call them, give you medicine 4, which is I think 400 HP. It's the effectively the best curative item you get.
Yeah, they give you either full cure or cure 4, and medicine 4 is exactly what we want.
Mhm.
Cure all, or full cure, despite what it sounds like, doesn't bring back all your HP. It just gets rid of any status effect.
conditions. Yeah.
Which is a little unfortunate when you're expecting it to
by the
help.
way, even though that seemed like he just went into a dead end and then left, he has to do that in order to get into this door here. Otherwise, there's statues or something blocking it off. This museum also has these quiz machines, by the way, that give you some kind of random prize. The TAS actually uses them to get tools, but I looked into it a little bit, and there's no real RNG manipulation in this game, and the success rate for getting tools out of them is low enough that I'd never bothered.
That's odd, because I thought it was dictated by the amount that you successfully completed, and it would give you a different reward. So,
my experience was that it was just, you could get a tool, medicine, or junk, or there were like 2 other things you could get besides the tool that were more common when I did all my testing.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because like during this, I was thinking about maybe having it as an extreme backup strat to get another revive, because again, Brady Games Guide mentioned that a revive was possible if you solved, I think, 5 of them or something like that. So
my testing, I got different results from each one, depending on randomness. So,
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The Brady Games Guide has it's a good resource to start, but it has multiple inconsistencies in it, especially in the Central Park. I was noticing. But yeah, I actually another runner here, OmniGamer, constructed kind of a brute force to figure out rates for stuff. And before I came down here, I wanted to use it to really nail down how hard it was to get chests, but I just never got the opportunity. But that's something I definitely want to look into to see if, you know, it is at 50-50. Is it a 1 in 5 chance for offense 5? You know, things of that nature.
Might be worth just pausing to just draw attention to the fact that he has a machine gun that's shooting shotgun shells right now, by the way, too, and it takes the exact same kind of ammo as every other weapon in the game.
Submachine gun shotgun, the good old dream emoji.
Yep.
So this is a really odd encounter with the way it triggers. I've always wondered if there's a way to skip this because of that.
Because you can still move while the fight is loading, yeah. If there's some way to, like, clip around the edge of the encounter zones that you can somehow close the distance to the door before
or go
the
in and
scammer
out, or maybe
changes.
like open a menu, or like, you know,
Or
it just
open
seems really
open that
odd.
chest over there or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, fortunately, this is a fairly easy fight. You don't want to get hit by the stuff that these pterodactyls do because it gives you blindness. But yeah, if you just stay under them, you're generally going to be pretty safe.
Yeah, so one of the changes that I made to this route is typically you use energy shot on the pterodactyls in most people's routes. I switched it to haste for a couple reasons. Even though it's slower than energy shotting flat out, it allows me to have haste for these next fights. So even though it's shorter or longer in the short term, over the course of a few fights, having the parasite energy to start haste, you know, makes up for the time.
Yeah, it'll really pretty much negate the risk of getting blinded by any of these pterodactyls if you can haste up and get under them before they attack.
Yeah, 3 hits always.
I don't think we ever actually explained bonus points, by the way.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, because he's been doing it the entire run. There's a mechanic in this game where every time you level up, you gain just what are called bonus points. I think it's based on the number of monsters you've killed since your last level up. Or
Basically, when you kill a monster, it has a pool of bonus points it can give you. So let's say this pterodactyl can give me 50 bonus points. So the game takes that and then minuses an amount for each time you're hit in combat. So usually you want to try to not get hit to maximize your bonus points, but sometimes that's not really too big of a thing.
yeah,
You know,
and then also the increment of bonus points you need in order to either add a point to the stat of a piece of equipment or your ATB stat is 100. Like, no run of this game I've ever done has there been enough variation in my bonus points to affect the route for using them in any way. And you just put them all in your weapon power then. Yeah,
so
'cause
I,
just-
as a trained stunt professional, just fearlessly drops down 30 feet onto a slim platform without instantly shattering all of her bones because mitochondria.
Mitochondria, exactly.
So, I mean, you might, given that this is a speed run, you might think that adding points to the active time stat, which affects your ATB refill rate, would be a good idea, but in the end, it's actually just putting every single point into your weapon power is the way to go, just because saving entire turns off of fights just saves so much more time than increasing your ATB refill rate. You'd have to put a lot of points into it for it to actually have a notable effect.
Yeah, and haste does huge heavy lifting once you get it, so once you get that, the ATB points are almost wasted.
Yeah, I mean, the only case I've ever done that is for New Game Plus True Ending, just to save turns on the True Eve fight, because I can put 99 points into it.
Yeah, so there are kind of 3 categories for this game. I'm a little hesitant to mention one of them. So there's this category, which is New Game.
Yeah.
There's the one that Puexel has spent significant time on, which is New Game plus Good Ending. That's about a 25-minute run, give or take.
22 is 22:18. I mean, the timing for it is
Yeah.
a little janky, but the way I timed it, it was 22:18.
Yeah. So we have that. We have this run, which clocks in about, 3:10, something around there. There's another category that I touched one time, just to get first place, to get it out of people's minds that it was a relevant category. It's New Game Plus Normal Ending, and all it is, I call it New York City Walk and Talk Simulator, because all you do is you just walk a place, shoot everything, kill it in one turn.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you could talk about New Game Plus, I guess, because there isn't much going on for the next
Sure.
couple fights. I mean, New Game Plus, also known as EX round in this game, is you get to carry a lot of stuff over, but your level resets back to 1, and enemies get souped up for. And that's actually, I mean, if you do one EX round playthrough, even though you're starting even with endgame equipment that you get to select before you beat the new game. If in your first one, the amount of extra HP and stats that they give the enemies still makes it somewhat of a challenge. But the fact that you can there's no limit to how many playthroughs you can do on the same file. After enough, you'll have all your stats maxed out and you'll win every battle in one hit. The true ending of this game is only possible to get in EX round because it requires going to the Chrysler building, which you can only go there. And I mean, the reason why new game plus true ending is only 22 minutes long is because you can carry over keys to get to the top floor of the Chrysler building, and this fight's going terribly.
This is, again, the game showing me, never seen that fight. Like, I've seen Pterodactyl in Pillbug, not 3 Pillbugs.
So yeah, you just use a file with maxed out stats and like the best possible weapon you can build and the best key for the Chrysler building. So you have to start the game and then play through day 1 in order to gain access to the weapon locker to get the key out of, and then you take it, go to the Chrysler building, go to the top, and fight True Eve at level like a really low level, even though you've got maxed out stats and equipment. And since you don't have any parasite powers or whatever, you just pretty much just shoot her until she's dead. And well, your prize for that is some of Shimamura's best music for the new game plus ending. But
I was a little disappointed with the true ending, but the music is phenomenal on the ending.
It's just this really gorgeous orchestral arrangement of the main theme of the game. But I mean, I kind of thought about proposing that as doing a run of that category as a donation incentive for this, but it's long enough, and enough of it is just playing through day 1 again with winning every battle in one turn, and then going through the cutscene dump at the start of day 2 before you can actually go to the Chrysler building. I mean, so much of it is stuff we just saw in the new game run that I just didn't think it was really that good of an idea.
Secrets.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, he's good. This isn't part of the normal route.
Yeah.
He's
This
just
is
going-
probably the biggest contribution Dream Bomb brought to the original route was this detour. So we mentioned how random is extremely potent against a single enemy, and near the end of the museum we will fight 2 bosses back to back. And for that short amount of time, we will use random on our gun because it is an enormous DPS increase.
I guess I didn't even know that this is how you do it. I know that he found that optimization to save a couple turns on the museum bosses, but I guess I didn't watch his runs carefully enough to really find out where he got the extra tool and how what his weapon modding route was in order to make that work.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. Yeah, it's like I tried to figure it out at some point, but it's really hard to get an estimate for how much time it saves. But I'm guessing conservatively it saves around 50 seconds, including the time that it takes to get everything.
Right.
So it's a really, really nice improvement to the run. Most of the things that I brought were just kind of consolidating menuing in certain places and very small things like monitor skip or skipping the tooling tutorial
I think that
a couple
was
frames faster.
because this thing right here is the biggest like general improvement overall that's been found since I did my segmented run 5 years ago, was shaving several turns off of both of these boss fights with this. Yeah, because it's been a while since we explained it, but yeah, machine gun type weapons by default come with the random rate of fire, which randomizes the targeting but also increases the number of shots per round by 50% and does not reduce the damage like it would if you just went with a higher rate of fire weapon. And against single targets, that's really good. And not only because of the fact that you're just getting an extra shot for free per turn, but it also reduces the number of inputs you need to do per turn because they're all chosen for you.
Okay, guy. Okay, I guess you wanted to get shot.
So he's gonna basically mod the random ability back onto his micro Uzi in order to have it for the Triceratops and the T-Rex, which are the bosses of the museum. And that detour there picked up another shotgun type weapon, which he'll then use to mod burst back on for Eve 4, who's the who you want burst for because of it being a multi-piece boss.
Yeah, you also want to be able to control your shots for one of the last bosses of the game, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the end of the inventory management, so I get to breathe a sigh of relief fairly soon. As long as I don't accidentally explode my gun into a million pieces, should be alright. I already knew my inventory was full, so there was no
Yeah.
risk in going all
Yeah, these
in.
dinosaurs generally either drop junk or ammo, and they drop lots of ammo too, like plus 30, I think, generally. So even though it's random, you're going to get enough ammo drops that you'll just be fine for the rest of the game.
Okay, so I guess
He's
we'll
got
get rid of this.
210 bullets. It's going to take a lot of bullets to kill the last couple of bosses, but that's going to be plenty.
So I wanted to get rid of those guns earlier on, but I also was concerned because that is a slight improvement that I had made to the route, was getting rid of those early so I can maybe scoop up a couple more medicine 4s. But you know, it's a relatively new change for me, and I just wanted to make sure that I get through this all right. So I mentioned how it's really important to keep your inventory taken care of, and it's particularly important for places like this where you get key items. In the hospital, usually where you have to like grab something off a shelf, if your inventory's full, she'll reach up there, grab for it, and it'll be like, oh, you can't pick it up. And instead of letting you drop something, it's just like, nope, do it again.
And you have to manually open the menu and throw something away.
And then go up there, reach up there again, pull it down again. So
Yeah, fortunately, by and large, the position, like in a lot of RPGs, I mean, you can optimize like the position that items go into your inventory too. That isn't really, I wouldn't really say overall that's really that relevant in this game, especially because key items generally just get automatically used when you have them instead of you having to open the menu and do so. I mean, obviously having like better types of medicine near the top so you can get at them faster is better, but you don't really have enough control over that to really be able to do much.
How many people does Daniel punch in this game? Because
approximately 400. You only see 2 though.
you only see 2.
My answer would be all of them.
All of them. That's what he's been doing this whole time.
Everyone that
He's
deserves it, and more.
running through, punching all the monsters as he's running through the dungeon.
So I'd like to mention they're on the 2nd floor right now for what happens next.
Yes. And we've seen what's out. Well, actually, we don't. Well, I think this is facing towards the stairs in front of the museum. So yeah, we have seen what's outside that window too when we came in here.
So this is a pretty bad spill. But
So yeah, this is unlike chasing Clamp down the west side of the first floor of the museum. This is required because doing this event here gives us a key that we need in order to gain access to the top floor of the museum, along with getting rid of Clamp, who locks some of the doors behind you when you go through them.
yeah, while he twirls his mustache he doesn't have.
This unusually long time that the game gave you to read those 2 text boxes.
Yeah. It's a very controlled fire there too.
Yes.
Typical supervillain combusting to stop you from defeating him.
Alright, so I'm going to take a very slight detour here actually.
Grab a save before
Yeah, I mean,
Triceratops. Yeah.
Usually I'm not concerned about it, but
It can kill you if it charges you enough. Yeah.
more concerned about breaking the gun, to be completely honest. Like, because even if I die, you know, whatever. I have a revive. I can play it extremely safe. If I break the gun, this is over. Like,
What do you mean by breaking the gun?
if
again?
I accidentally break the Uzi
with
instead of
modding,
anything else,
Oh,
yeah.
it's modding it wrong. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is over.
Yeah.
So that's why, again, like, you'll see me take my time when I'm tooling right now because I'm trying to be extremely deliberate with my actions. So, but despite having kind of the poor luck on the worms fight a little bit, and having to reset a couple times, this has been pretty smooth. I've been pretty pleased with it. We didn't talk about it a little bit, but I noticed the pill bugs, the little roly guys, roly-polies, you know. What's really nice about them is you can actually manipulate them very easily to go where you want them
And
to.
to group together so that you can hit them with burst.
Yeah. So not only is that pretty nice, but they also have a really high rate of dropping medicine 3s and 4s, which is cool. Interesting, it didn't do the graphical glitch. So there's a graphical glitch on anything but PSX playing this, where if it shoots those laser beams, oftentimes you'll get like these blank black textures that show up.
Yeah. I actually got a pretty neat audio glitch on the huge slime that you fight in the hospital once, where Almost every sound effect that happens during battles became replaced by the wheel squeak sound effect that happens when you turn that wheel. I've got that on my YouTube, basically because I was streaming when it happened, or no, well, I was recording when it happened. But when Aya's ATB bar refilling, the sound that made was the wheel squeak. The bullets hitting the slime were wheel squeaks, and
That's an encounter skip right there.
yeah. I think that there was some third type of sound that was replaced by wheel squeak, but it was pretty good.
So here's the break into that gun. We'll go ahead and give ourselves some of that. I'm gonna go ahead and reload, or I can just miss menu. It's fine.
All right, so this is our first boss of the museum. That
Let's do this too. Start out healthy.
all right, so this Triceratops here is another two-stage fight. It starts out being very slow. It has 2 attacks, a charge, and also a electric current. The electric current you can somewhat manipulate and avoid. Like, I've generally found that once it starts shooting it, going to its right will generally cause it to loop around and miss you.
Yeah. Right now in this phase, it kind of tracks you as you do it, but in the next phase, you'll be able to manipulate it pretty well.
Yeah, because when you do enough damage, it'll basically cause its helmet plates to disappear. And it then just goes crazy then. I mean, it moves a lot faster, it moves a lot less predictably, and yeah, like you said, the way that it does the electric current attack changes to actually make it a bit easier to avoid.
So you'll notice that I used Energy Shot extremely early there, and that's just because the head phase is by far the much more dangerous phase, because we can manipulate this. So you want to get out of it as soon as possible. Also, what's nice is that Energy Shot isn't dictated by any type of defense or anything like that. You don't have to worry about range.
Yeah, and this
Because as you
guy
can
this
see, he
guy's
runs
just
around
all
a
over the
lot.
place when he's in his second phase too. So I mean, if it's still alive by the time Turbodog's ATB gets relatively full, then you can just do an energy shot to finish it off. No offense +2. Yeah, I mean, again, I wish I knew what the drop rate was, but there's a rare chance to get an offense +2 drop instead of ammo from the Triceratops.
So it may seem weird that I didn't heal after that fight, considering there's going to be a next boss fight here, but you actually
you
get
get auto healed for reasons.
Shoutouts to the wood for pointing that out to me.
Mitochondria?
Mitochondria.
I mean, I guess it's just this scene right here where Aya uses mitochondria to explain surviving that fall without no ill effects that heals you.
Video games.
Yeah. All right. We all know what's coming now, and
I'm going to get to ride that, right?
that is a roar. That is a roar. I've heard some very, very weak beast roars in video games, but that is a T-Rex roar. Anyway, okay, so the T-Rex, the final boss of day 5.
The other ones are in day 5 too, but the last one in the museum.
The museum's
yeah.
final boss, okay. All of its attacks hurt really hard. Like, if that flamethrower hits you, you're probably going to take like a 300 damage or so, just because it'll get multiple hits on you.
140 a hit. Huge hitbox.
Yeah. It has a bite attack, which you can see it rearing back for it, and it's short range, so it's decently easy to avoid. But even when it rears back after doing the actual bite, the hitbox for the bite is still there, so you can still get hit by it. And it also has a meteor. This right here, this meteor strike, which is pretty random, but I think it's its least damaging attack overall.
So, for example, for the Triceratops, I used haste, even though I perhaps only needed a couple more hits. But that's totally fine because, you'd much rather have the haste than gamble on, getting completely destroyed.
Yeah, just because the T-Rex...
So here's a nice... Yep.
Yeah, the T-Rex usually tends to jump before doing its flamethrower, and if it's like against the corner like that, you can really get boxed in and have a really hard time avoiding it. And having haste helps a lot. Alright, that's good.
Okay, good. Make sure I got that gun. So we get a sweet M8000 gun, which gives us double action. Which is going to completely break turn economy in this game. I love it.
Yeah, it's a pistol that's not too good by itself, but it gives us the fourth and final ability that we bought under the Micro Uzi, which, yep, double action. You can, and you can do both. You can spend those actions on whatever you want to. You can use healing items, you can use PE, you can shoot. I guess one thing is though is if you do either yeah, this elevator switch, it's so weird and finicky. But yeah, you can if you use your first turn of double action with energy shot or liberate, which we'll be getting pretty soon, then you lose the second one because of the dizzying effect of it.
Yeah, so I'm positive actually we've had enough extra encounters to get liberate.
Yeah, I mean, in my segmented run routing, I just found that one extra encounter in the museum will give me enough experience to learn Liberate by the end before I get to Eve 4.
So like this is where I have to kind of break my habit of using haste, because once you get the double action, you just crush everything. It's just not time efficient to use it anymore.
Yeah, well, against regular fights at least, yeah.
So skipping this again. Chocobo on the left side there. You might have caught its beak a little bit.
Now that we've killed those bosses, we finally get to go back into this area that the I mean, this is so confusing, by the way, because that Triceratops knocks you through this place, but you have to actually come back and then just walk through the same door in order to actually get to the end of the museum.
Like you mentioned the sewers. The sewers aren't really too bad when you realize it's a grid. The museum is a real maze, like because not only do you not know the layout necessarily, but because Clamp locks critical doors, you might think you're making progress only to find a locked door near the end.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, because there's this box of doors that Clamp locks which is why you need to get that key from him and kill him so that he's not locking doors behind you in order to.
I would never kill a human. That was Eve. Eve did it.
Yeah, in order to actually be able to get to the boss rush.
This one I'm willing to cast haste a little bit because this one, every once in a while, can cost a few turns. Yeah. Okay, so we got pretty fortunate with the way
With crits, yeah.
Having
Having haste also, yeah, because this room is kind of large too. Having haste guarantees that you'll be able to get to the foot of the stairs while you're waiting for the results screen for the battle too.
So I can reload down to 0 is another way that you can save a little bit of time.
Yeah, because that's less inputs than reloading it to max. Because then he'll just quietly reload before he gets his first turn for the next battle.
So luckily I went to the restroom a couple times before this run. Normally the cutscene after this is where I'd run to the bathroom.
Yeah, we've got actually quite a bit. We've got quite a bit of FMVs and other cutscenes before getting into the final boss gauntlet of the game. So
Absolutely donations.
yes, take it away right there.
Perfect. So we've got $10 from Big Fung Balls. I'd like to donate this money to this really weird and silly name. Wells JC sends in $70.
I thought you said Wells JC.
Oh,
wasn't
no,
silly
no.
name.
JC's just like breaking something.
Well, Wells had sent in $70, and his comment is, "There are not enough Jeffs." Guessing he named someone Jeff. Anonymous sends in $25. Been watching streams like AGDQ and SGDQ since 2012. Stumbled into this. I'm pleased that ST3 is going to be ran. I figure I'd throw in a donation and call Best Girl another Best Girl, because why not? Anonymous sends in $100. For gameplay, I prefer Parasite Eve 2, but the original game has its moments and the soundtrack is very good. Nice to see it speedrun. Edwin sends in $30 and says, "Hello, good luck, and have fun."
Yeah, real quick, I'd like to thank everybody that has been donating, both for this game and just in general for the cause. Like, your donations really help a lot, and you guys are the ones that help to make this event bigger and better every single time.
Definitely.
I do believe I mentioned some prizes for SD3 before. We also have a pretty big grand prize with a minimum donation of $50, a PlayStation 4. So if that interests you, you can donate at least $50, and you'll be in the raffle for that one.
Surprised Clamp's body isn't splatted onto those stairs or something, by the way, too.
He's still burning inside the
Yeah.
No one managed to put him out before they left. They just left him there. It's a very controlled fire, so it's just like, whatever.
Oh, there's that mirror again.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like, it's something so small,
And the
but,
fact that Maida's head is mostly covering
Yeah.
it, too.
but like, that's really impressive for the time this came out, so.
Yeah.
So now this is kind of a dump of the big reveal on why everything works the way it does.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to understand the story for this game, play it. I mean, like we said before, it's like a 10, 12-hour commitment just to play, even if you do like the warehouse, which is the optional dungeon. If you want to do get the true ending, that's a bit of a longer investment because the Chrysler Building, the New Game Plus dungeon is quite long, but for the normal story, 10 to 12 hours will get you through. And yeah, and then we finally find out why Aya and Eve are the way they are, basically.
Why she's not burnt to a crisp. Yeah,
And the answer, mitochondria.
Yep. I heard it's the powerhouse of the cell.
This game has the plot in this game. We joke about it, but it's actually fairly cohesive, and it does kind of make sense in kind of the universe they've built around it.
I would much rather have a simple game that tells its story well than a game that's overly complex and has tons of plot holes in it.
Exactly. And conversely, there's a Japanese movie called Parasite Eve, which is exactly that. It makes zero sense.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, because like another kind of interesting part of the backstory to this game too is that there was a Japanese novel called Parasite Eve that also had a movie adaptation, and then this game is actually the sequel to the movie slash novel.
Yeah.
Because the movie novel was set in Japan, and this is in New York City, and then Maida, when he talks to you, is actually referencing events that happened in the novel slash movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's your liaison into the backstory of that. And it's great, too, because, he's a Japanese scientist, so he has that perspective from it. It's not like he just gets it out of a magical book that he finds. Like,
Yeah.
this happened in Japan. And
Yeah, it's just that story is particularly wonky in comparison to this one, which is quite clean and straight to the point. It goes right through it.
oh, you'll learn your 6th grade biology in here, but,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's,
it's
not too bad.
It's not going to change the world, but it's a solid game in that respect.
Yeah, so I mentioned how it would be. So I think I've talked kind of at length about the things that I really love about this game and why I feel it's so strong, like the PE system, modding the guns.
Yeah,
you don't have to grind all
The
this stuff.
pacing overall, especially in a normal playthrough where you're actually exploring the dungeons and stuff.
The combat system being fairly unique. Is there anything in particular that like drew you to like running the game or just enjoying it in general enough to run it?
As far as running it, I mean, it's been over 5 years, so
Yeah.
I'm just having to kind of search my memory banks. But I don't know, I mean, like why I run a lot of the speed runs I do. It's just because I just enjoy playing the game. Period. I like the battle system in this game. I like the music. I like the weapon system, and doing speed running just gives me an excuse to replay it a lot and challenge myself.
Yeah, it really speedrunning to me really is about breathing new life into old games and oftentimes kind of making a game stretch further with money and stuff.
Yeah.
But
And it's been, and my friend Bulligan actually raised a really, really good point about kind of RPG speedrunning in particular, probably over a year ago now or so. In that, because I mean, a normal playthrough of an RPG, in a lot of cases, is like 20 to 40 hours, if not more. And doing a speedrun kind of condenses that experience into one sitting, and lets you just kind of get it over and over again too as you do runs.
And you can always read the story too and just maybe modify some of the strats. Maybe you want to visit a few side areas, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something that even people who casually kind of play the game could enjoy, is just like, this is kind of an efficient way to do it. So if you want to enjoy the story or maybe revisit a battle that you really liked or a nice scene, like, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I tend to find myself using speedrun strats, and when I play games casually, replaying games casually, just because it's faster to play through the game without actually skipping over everything.
Yeah. It's a nice little kaiju battle here.
They could
It's
get
busy fighting the Statue of Liberty.
get some of that pink ooze on there and play some music, and the Statue of Liberty can take care of it.
Vigo, please stop attacking the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we have like 1 or 2 more donations at all?
Yeah, that's the perfect number, actually.
Okay.
So Wells, JC gave another $70 and says needs more Jeffs. Big Fung Ball sends in $10. He says remove Bunny, Jeff for president. And Kobahi sends in $30. Needs more Jeff.
The mysterious Jeff. It is really odd, like, how slow the military is to kind of deploy in this game. Like, Eve's already had 2 enormous losses of human life, and they've already evacuated the city, then they send the military in to deal with it.
They evacuated Manhattan like overnight too.
Yeah.
The way in this world, that's totally realistic.
It was a very efficient evacuation, and now that ooze is just everywhere.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
This is kind of setting up what I kind of feel is kind of the iconic visual moment of this game too, which is you confronting Eve for the final time over the fallen in this slime bed in front of the fallen Statue of Liberty too.
Yeah. Just so many great, like, set pieces that you can set with a city that's as well known as New York.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody just yes
Yeah.
as they win.
So we mentioned, like, the graphical increase on this. Something that I really love too is I get the feeling they didn't try to go for as realistic of an art style as, say, like an FF8. Because there are some kind of, like, stylistic choices with the FMV that I really enjoy that makes it age, I think, a little bit better. Like, it's much better to have something that's a little bit more stylish or a little bit more classic than to try to go for realism, because if you're shooting for realism, you're always going to lose to the next console generation.
Yep.
That's why I think a lot of people really love visiting these older games, because they have something that's visually striking to them on one level or another.
So while we're watching more of these
'Cause
impressive FMVs.
We're done with dungeons and stuff. All that's left in the run is cutscenes and bosses.
You have about 30 seconds before the boss starts.
30
here.
seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to remind everyone that we're having this marathon RPG Limit Break 2016 in support of NAMI. So all of your donations and anything that you can do to help, like spread awareness for mental health, is greatly appreciated.
Hashtag stigma free, I believe.
Yes, hashtag stigma free, and
It's a good one too. I like that a lot.
and hashtag act for mental health.
Yes, this right here is just that visual that I just love to kind of sum up the game too. Is just confronting Eve with the Statue of Liberty watching in the background. Okay, so anyway, this is Eve 4, which, like a lot of other bosses at this point, is a 2-stage fight. The first stage, she has 3 different pieces, which is why he wanted to mod the burst effect back onto his micro Uzi so that he can hit, and they're all close together, that he is always going to hit all 3 of them at once. And there is some manipulation you can do with Eve 4 too, just because her nastiest attack, if it actually hits you, is her grab.
Which we might see, since I'm going to be pretty dangerous. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Because if she grabs you, which you don't really get a whole lot of time to react to if she winds up for it, she paralyzes you for a little bit and then just starts beating you and does damage. I mean, you will still proc the CM best while it happens, but yeah, you just don't want to get hit by that. But how you move right at the start of the fight will also control what her, like if you move towards her, that'll make her grab for her first attack instead of use like some energy shower that she has too. So yeah, he's just being, he's just really trying to avoid getting grabbed there, which he does if you're at close range. Yeah, there is another grab there. If you have haste, then that really helps as far as being able. Oh, okay.
She went a little early there.
Now we can just see what it does. It's not going to kill him, but it's going to hurt a lot and just wastes a bunch of time too. I think it reset his ATB bar too. Oh.
That scene, I disagree with that one. All right. Can you please go down? I guess she will not go down without a fight. There we go.
Okay, so that's.
I must have had
phase
really
1.
poor crit luck because she should have been dead either the last round or the round before that.
Yeah,
But
so phase 2 is pretty nasty actually, just because she moves around really fast and has an attack she can use where she just flies off screen and then shoots this really high, or just this really difficult to avoid energy arrow at you. But we
she
can
has
actually,
attacks.
yeah. But thanks to fighting an extra battle in the museum to learn Aya's ultimate PE move, PE Liberate, well, you'll see what it does if you haven't played the game. You do need to hit her once with 1 round of shots. It's getting kind of late. Then we use Liberate and.
So did you get to have any of the sandwiches in the break room?
Yes, I did.
What did you go with?
I went with a club.
You went to the club. I didn't get to the club. Like all that was left was like the roast beef and stuff. Roast beef was all right. What
Yeah.
about you, Garrick? What did you have?
I had the chicken salad sandwich. I like chicken salad. So.
There we go.
And that's the boss. Yeah,
Wait,
Liberate
what?
is just so busted. It does require you to have a full PE bar, but I mean, just does so much damage relative to what you can do with your gun at this point, and it freezes the battle in the process too.
I fought her at my range. She grabbed me. I liberated on her. It was a fair trade.
Well, with this,
I mean, it's just, I mean, if you have Liberate, it's a totally free fight because I mean, you'll have enough time before she can do her like nastier attacks that you can get those couple. Because I mean, at the level he's at, 1 Liberate isn't going to kill her. He needs a couple shots on. Yeah, I really love that look she gives you before she melts too, just to kind of just say, you know what, this isn't over.
You cheater.
Yeah.
Right. So we had something coming up, Mr. Host Aether.
well, since we had a little FMB there, wanted to remind everybody about the bid wars coming up for the SD3 coming up, which is next. Right now, we have names, naming Carly or Angela. Right now, we have a war between Jeff and Bunny. Jeff is leading currently by, let's see, by quite a big margin. So if you want Bunny to win, he only needs $81 more to overtake Jeff. The army of Jeffs, apparently.
Yes.
For Kevin, Bick is leading with $60, followed by Taiho with $30 and Wyburns with 25.
How's the honking doing? Has that been met?
Honk has been met quite a while ago,
Okay.
so we're going to enjoy quite a lot of honking
Yes.
for the next run.
From one of the best methods of transportation in any
Yeah,
RPG
it's
ever.
fantastic, and it's a great name too.
Booskaboo.
Yeah,
Booskaboo.
it's great.
And for Elise, right now Redia is leading with $100, followed by Reese for $30 and PJ at 10. So if you want to snipe in a name or help one of the other two, or one of the names win, donate toward that.
Anyway, this is just, you have to talk to Wayne in order to advance the story, but this is at this point that he tells you he'll engrave one weapon and 1 piece of armor, which lets you rename them. But more importantly, that sets what equipment you get to carry over into New Game Plus with this particular file once you finish the game. And you can access his item locker too. So he was doing that just to get rid of some.
Open up some space.
Open up some space to hold more medicine, basically.
Yeah, talking to the servicemen, you can kind of get some backup items. which is
Yeah,
nice.
like I think some revives and
Medicine 3 and 4.
we
had this discussion.
Yeah, we had this discussion before. I have it in my head that he gives you revives, but he doesn't. It's medicine 3.
They might as well be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That door was very heavy, clearly. Where she
There'll
pulls
be,
it
there's
from.
more where that came from.
Well, as the army arrives, well, let's just I'd like to remind the chat that there are some pretty good-looking shirts sold by the Yeti, being sold right now. There are 7 in all, so you can buy them all if you want to. And every $3 that's for every shirt sold will be donated to Nami. So you'll be definitely looking good and given to a great cause. So check that out at the Yeti /RPG Limit Break. That's YETEE.com.
Get those baby rages in
Baby
chat.
rage, exactly.
Already just born and already causing problems.
I know. That
Yep.
child's future is bleak. Starting younger every year.
Well, I mean, parents always say that the kids grow up so fast. And then the final boss of Parasite Eve is living proof of that.
All right, so we're coming up kind of to the last boss gauntlet that's going to be coming up here. But funny enough, not the last place you can die.
Yep.
So, I mean, after I beat the boss, though, I don't want to fight the boss again, so I'm going to take a save after I take it. So
Okay, that sounds
We'll
like a
do
good
that,
idea.
yeah.
Yep.
But
Because this game has a Metroid influence as far as how it ends.
it's also pretty troll.
Yes.
Like, we mentioned how most people will die on the roof of the hospital. Most people will die multiple times
Yes.
in this last sequence.
Yeah, the army just kind of quietly, or well, not quietly, but just casually abandoned this ship and left the ultimate being here just to Aya.
Just gonna say, skin's not supposed to be that color. Just so everybody knows, it's
Mitochondria.
Man,
that's not healthy. He needs to get checked for an infection or something. 'Cause it's not good.
All right. All right, so ultimate being 1 only has 1 attack as far as I know, which is just this full screen explosion that does, I think it's half of your health and damage every time
He also has
does
this
it.
pulse, but it's not too big of a deal. I'm willing to even tank it like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then being able to kill it, move to the next phase before it does the explosion is just based on how many crits you get.
Okay, I've been having trouble on this form, so
Yeah, this is
I
I would say this is the most technical form of the fight here, because for ultimate being 2, after you've hit it a couple times, well, and then also dodging its attacks is a little interesting too. But after you've hit it a couple times, its wings are going to separate and become a separate target. And then there's a really swag move that I didn't actually get in my final segment of this, but I did in some practice attempts where you can actually kill the wings immediately after they separate with the shotgun burst, and unfortunately didn't get it there, but it's not that big of a deal. But this sucker moves fast too, so pretty much needs it moves pretty much the same speed that Aya does with haste, so it's kind of hard to chase around without haste.
yeah, I was taking a gamble that was going to kill, but I was pretty sure it would.
Mhm.
That was actually a really good ultimate being too.
Do you go for killing the wings with the burst? Or
I don't go for it, but
does it happen sometimes?
it's
or?
happened twice. I
Okay.
think. So it's just if it
That was
happens
something I
to
probably
line up,
really should have looked into more, is if that's really like advantageous to the fight, or if it
can help.
or if the wings being there actually caused the body to move less or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really look into it deeply enough.
It helps, but it's not critical, one way or another.
Because if you have haste, the shots from the wings aren't really going to be hitting you much. Okay, so for phase 3, phase 3 just has tons and tons of health. So We just need a couple rounds worth of hits. This, for this attack here, if we get under him, it's gonna miss. I think it's like 6 or 7 rounds of shots or so.
I can go 5 here.
Okay, after a certain number of rounds, then we can use Liberate to finish him.
And just to make sure that I'm good on health, I'm going to do that. And let's
Because spoilers, there's more phases. Well, like 2, I guess. Sort of.
Yeah, you can get it between 4 to 6 rounds of full attacking, depending on how well you crit, how much you have to move around. Yeah, 5's usually pretty safe. Yeah, this guy is pretty dangerous if you don't do this. A lot of attacks that are difficult to block.
Yeah, and some of them I think can give you status effects.
That as well.
Yeah, I mean, and also avoiding that just huge pink energy thing without haste is really, really hard to do too, just because he jumps to the corner of the screen, and getting under him without haste is probably not going to happen.
For some reason, this model always kind of reminded me of Quetzalcoatl from like FF8.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, so then for phase 4, it's a scripted storyline. Basically, your gun just can't actually damage him anymore. You do need to get a set number of hits in order to end the fight, though.
900 rounds to go. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't think getting crits actually matters. I think it's just like number of shots that moves.
I've gone back and forth on that. Originally, I thought it was you just have to do 20 damage, but it might actually just be you have to connect. I'm still kind of unsure.
Yeah, it's irrelevant either way. I mean, you just shoot him until the until this next cutscene starts.
Daniel, what a hero.
I mean, just I mean, the only real danger.
He's gonna fly down and punch
Because
the thing.
the laser orbs can actually do some real damage to you. So if you took a lot of damage in the earlier phases, it is possible to die to those lasers. And I've done that.
They have a huge damage range too.
They
I've
do,
seen
yeah.
like 70 to, I believe the highest I saw was 197. But that's easily enough to bypass your CM vest.
Right.
So.
All right, and then we've got the final phase where it's just another storyline. Basically, it's the same as the last round, only now.
This is actually very, very slightly faster
Yeah.
by like 1 second.
I was always on the fence on that too, but yeah. Now we've got a weapon that's with bullet. We've got Maida's gun, which has bullets laced with Aya's DNA, and those can finally kill it.
Yeah.
It's 8 hits, I believe, in order to kill it.
But why can ASLs break down the ultimate beam?
Mitochondria.
I forgot. I'm glad you reminded me. All right, so I don't want to fight this fight again, so there's a phone inside of the battleship. We'll go ahead and use that real quick.
There's some very powerful shells.
Yeah. Makes you wonder why she didn't just keep shooting.
Yeah. Oh, it's not done yet. So yeah, even though we've just killed the final boss, in order to end the game, we do have to escape from the ship. And if the ultimate being touches Aya at any point, then you die. And if you go the wrong way, which is kind of an easy mistake to make during some of the screen
let's save.
transition.
That's not good.
Oops. I didn't even know you could use that phone too.
It's close. It's close, but don't worry. I tested it.
Okay,
I tested it beforehand.
I didn't even. I thought the phone was just a dead
It
zone or
It
whatever.
is. You have to exactly know that it's going to be okay. But yeah, so we already had a fork in the path. So if you tried to save, chances are you were dead. If you took the wrong fork, you were dead. Here's another fork, you're dead.
Yeah, if you hold the wrong direction and go back through a door you just came through, the ultimate being is there waiting for you, and he'll kill you too. So there's a couple where that's a really, really easy thing to do too. And those I don't try to go for the second save by tilting the analog stick. I wait for the screen to draw, so I make sure I go through the right way.
It wasn't until very recently that I started to do that, like with these screens, because of that reason. Like it's just, why would you throw away 11 minutes of your life on just saving a couple seconds? But
11 minutes, try 3 hours.
yeah, well, signal segment, sure. This is just down. So I've started to use analog in a couple of these screens. Like this saves a tiny amount of, like, this is what I mean. It's like, it's not going to be a barn burner of time save, but, you know, a little bit like that helps. So this is actually a lot smoother than you think. Like, it looks like it just falls out right after me, but it's actually because I ran a few steps first. So it is a dangerous thing. Like, you can't mess around with it, but it's also less dangerous than you would think. So this is going to be the last point at which I can die. So at this point, it's just all prologue stuff. The typical timing for this game that's kind of agreed upon was when the in-game timer starts, which is funny because it's actually before the new game even shows.
Yeah, the in-game timer actually starts when the title screen loads,
Yeah.
as opposed to when you actually start the game. I mean, because I was the first person to ever run this game single segment as well as segmented. And only I've never really done a whole lot of serious single segment runs, but I'd kind of just decided at the time that I'd have the real timing match the in-game time as far as
That would be pretty similar to like a Japanese style, except, you know, power on.
yeah,
but
we don't
pretty
we don't
similar.
include turning on the PlayStation and setting FDS and stuff, but yeah, basically when the game boots up until because the way you measure your final in-game time actually is when you make your New Game Plus save after the credits, and I just at the time decided to stop real timing when I make that save, and that's and the other people like Turbodog and Dreambaum that have picked up the game since then just kind of kept that.
Even
kept
though
that
it is kind of
standard.
odd, I kept it out of respect because it is something that other people that are good in the community and have done a lot of work like yourself that I'm extremely thankful. You know, that's the Isaac Newton quote. It says, "If I have seen further than other man, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." You know,
Well,
it's
thanks.
like it's built off of a history and a community. Like, there's very few speed games that are a single guy grinding. it
Yeah, I
out.
mean, even though I was the first person to really research and do real-time speedrunning of this game, I mean, there was a tool-assisted run that I drew a lot of inspiration from, especially with the weapon modding route. Because I mean, there was a lot of what it does that wasn't possible in real time, like a lot of stuff involving super tools, as far as manipulating chests to have them, manipulating enemies to drop them, and
manipulating enemies not to kill you super bad.
yes.
But yeah, so we're gonna get to the final cutscene and kind of watch that out. At that point, it's just kind of credits. So, you know, I don't know what we want to do as far as time, or if we want to use that as background music for some donations or whatever. But it's a nice time to kind of relax and decompress.
'Cause I don't even actually remember how long is the ending to this game.
From the last or the end of the last cutscene, the credits are, I believe, about 8 minutes. So.
So
we can
it'll still be under your estimate then, I guess, even if
well
we do
under,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
This has actually gone quite well. Like, we did have to reset a couple times, but that's
Well, we only
It
reset
happens.
once for the Uzi chest. I think, or-
we did get ammo on the tool. Or no, we didn't.
Yeah, I only
Yeah,
remember
we
you
did.
resetting once for the Uzi, and then
Yeah.
you never actually died too. I mean, you
I
you
got
had,
the
you had to
revives.
revive on the worms, but you never actually game overed.
Yeah, so this went pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, that was a good run. Some really trolly RNG,
Yeah.
but that's Parasite Eve speedrunning in a nutshell.
Yeah, as I mentioned, if this does pique your interest into the world of Parasite Eve speedrunning, I have what I like to call my idiot-proof notes on speedrun.com. It's a Google Doc. It even lists, like, I'm going into this room, hold these directions on the D-pad to start running. So it's
Yeah.
really comprehensive.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the day will come that I'll feel inspired to actually try to get a slightly better run of this that doesn't, because like I think my current PB at this is 320, which was just a practice run I did before a marathon, so it was kind of more similar to this than a straight any % run as far as like getting revives, doing saves, stuff like that.
It's okay. You can crush me anytime you want.
Yeah.
I'll have
No,
to
just-
talk to you about the New Game Plus stuff, because I remember, speaking of your New Game Plus good ending, you mentioned how, like, well, if I wanted to really go for this, I'd make some modifications to my gun. And
Yeah.
I'm on my, like, 12th clear, getting a gun prepped for it. So some pretty interesting stuff, I guess. Made just can't get ahead. He's like, so I'm going back to Japan. You want to go out? And he's, no.
Nah, I really don't. In fact, could you move over for this small child?
This small gray child.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, as far as kind of series retrospective, I know plugged it minorly, but Derek Alexander, his YouTube's like Stop Skeletons from Fighting. He's done an extremely good kind of review overall of the series of this game. So if you kind of want to learn a little bit more, if you're kind of on the fence about playing it, you know, even casually, he does a really good job of covering the series as a whole and kind of its evolution over the games, which is awesome.
This is a really unusual RPG series, I would say, just as far as how little the games have to do with each other.
Even mechanically, like, they're so different from one to the next. It's like tactical RPG, and then it's like survival horror, and then it's third-person
shooter.
cover shooter.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, and I mean, like, and then like story and character-wise, I mean, pretty much the only significant character that's in all of the games is Aya.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, she decides to move to Los Angeles and then try to fight mitochondria creatures there in PE2.
Why did she decide to do that? It's mitochondria.
Mitochondria.
That's what anyone would have done, is just moved across the country to fight monsters. I mean, it's the only choice she has now in life. And they freaked out because of a torch.
All right.
But this is the normal ending too. I mean, there is a kind of a good/true ending that requires doing New Game Plus.
Yeah, if you are at all interested in that, it's 77 floors of the Chrysler Building. Good luck, because, let's see, 63 of those are random, and they are chosen from an array of, I believe, 83 different layouts. So bring some maps with you and learn how to use them.
Yeah, every
Or else you're
10
gonna be there a
floors
while.
does have a boss too, and I think one of them is, I mean, most of them are refights with other bosses from the game that are pumped up a lot, but
The
I think
roaches.
there's a cockroach, I
And the
think,
bees.
that's,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that's unique to the Chrysler Building. And then the top floor has the true final battle with Eve, which is pretty different and a lot more difficult than any of the others. And the true ending doesn't make a ton of sense, but your prize is kind of the creme de la creme of the soundtrack, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've never really understood what this means,
Well,
by the way, too.
Garrick, given your knowledge of the lore that we've explained so far, you should be able to explain, why are all their eyes glowing red here?
Mitochondria, man.
See,
Yeah.
he
I
has
don't
the
even.
test.
That's what it is. I mean,
He had the cheat sheet.
yeah,
Yeah.
He like looked at his hand.
yeah. Just like I had to.
Mido on
I had to.
Droa.
I mean,
So I'll
I've kind
sweat it
of.
off.
I mean,
Right? It's just like.
I
a
mean, I
big
guess
black
I've kind of interpreted this as meaning that even though Eve is dead, there's still the mitochondria are still out there waiting for their next chance to rise.
Yeah.
But it's pretty vague.
Or perhaps it was just, they're still going to evolve to that point, or they've already gotten to that point, so the battle's not over.
Now we get some pretty interesting credits music, because we start with a music box arrangement of a J.S. Bach piece. Then we get to J-pop, and then we get to random jungle noises.
Random
It's
jungle noises.
The language, from what I understand, is it's a mix of like South American Spanish with like Spain Spanish. So
Oh.
there's a lot of like kind of oddities in rhythm and like speech patterns that I tried to, like, as a joke, I was like, if I world record, I'm just going to sing this song. And I tried to, and I was like, this is so hard because of the rhythm that it goes with. But,
I guess I always assumed it was Japanese just because it just has a very J-pop kind of style vibe to it. I just never like actually looked at what the text was.
it is written, I believe, by a Japanese composer, but the actual performer.
by Shimomura.
I don't know if it's Shimomura specifically. It mentions it. In
Because
here.
I think she's the only music credit. But I guess we'll find out.
So how we doing over there with donations? Has anybody sniped that next big mark? Or
Well, we do have a donation from Jake Bake. He donates $5. He says, "Hey guys, thanks for the stream and for choosing to put the focus on mental health. I've never played Parasite Eve, but I've watched my brother play through it many times, so it gave me the feels to watch some of you run. I'm looking forward to keeping up with the stream as much as possible throughout the week. Thanks again." Well, we do still have those bid wars on names coming up for the next game, Seiken Densetsu 3. For naming Carly or Angela, we still have a battle between Jeff and Bunny. Jeff is at $180 and Bunny is at 100. So if you want to stop Jeff,
I'm looking at one of the runners right now. He's just like,
you can do so before the next run starts. Kevin, right now the choices are between Bic, Taiho, and Wyburns. Bic is leading at $60 and Taiho at 30 with Wyburns at 25. So here's another chance for you to either get in a name of your own choosing or
we talked about Sir VG earlier, by the way. He's apparently in the credits too.
Right there.
Yep. He was a CG artist. Well, someone with the same real name as him was a CG artist that worked for Square in the 90s.
what a cheater. He had access to the strats early.
But yeah, if you want to donate toward one of those names for Kevin, go for it. Lise, we got Reedy at $100 still, Reese at $30, and PJ at 10. So if you want to choose the name for Lise, you can totally go ahead and donate before the next game starts. Storyline choice for SD3, we still got Dragon Emperor at quite an impressive 700 and.
I think it's got it locked
54?
up. Let's be
yeah,
real.
well,
Let's be real.
I don't know. You
Yeah,
never
you
know.
know, we got-
Someone might come out the bushes and
Got
put.
probably about 10 minutes to go before they actually start up SD3.
Yes.
And,
So you got 10 minutes to maybe even widen the lead for Dragon Emperor, or maybe
Or
give some Arc Demon route some love, or maybe
Yeah.
even Dark Lich.
you want to try to spare Aether and Feral from their fate?
Yeah, just so you know, every time anyone mentions the fact they're doing Dragon, DMC Aether gets this look of just pure sadness in his eyes.
he has a smile, but you can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, it's as though someone had just kicked and killed his dog at the same time. It is very sad.
So, I mean, I guess real quick at the end of this, like I said, if there's some reason that you feel inclined and really like the run, again, if you would feel willing to put your donations towards naming Peter Zex with full X's for Shining Force 2, I'd really appreciate that. A lot of great bed wars going on, though. Lots of great entertainment. Seiken should be really cool.
Yeah,
I'm actually
definitely.
really interested to see how much of the Japanese audience is going to come in to see that. That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's a great run, and Dragon Route is something that Aether's really worked on, so it's going to be really cool if it ends up being Dragon or any of the three routes are really good.
Anything that you guys in particular are kind of looking forward to, like over the course of the next few times? I know you're running FF6, and everybody's going to be crowded in here for that one. But
Yeah, it should be a good time.
Yeah, I'm excited about FF6 as well,
Yeah.
as I always am, because it's one of my favorite games.
yeah, Shining Force 2 on my end and Phantasy Star
Yeah.
4. Definitely
Yeah.
a couple
Shining Force
games.
2's another run that I'm
Yeah, I
really
think that'll be
excited
the first time like any Phantasy Star game has been in a charity marathon.
Yeah, and that's done.
And the first time a Shining Force game has been in a charity marathon too.
Yeah, and both of those games have had extraordinary work done with them over the
yeah.
first year.
Yeah, I mean
so-
it's been like a year or so ago. Like I think the record for Shining Force 2 was like 12 hours or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Now it's under
roughly.
6.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
almost sub 5 is coming at some point. I just don't know how far off it's going to be. But those are people beyond my skill level.
Yeah,
that
we
are
have,
working on
oh yeah,
that.
there's music, Yoko Shimomura.
Yeah, so it's Somna Memorias.
Yeah, and then that music box
Yeah.
sound effect was Sleepers
Words of
Awake.
music,
by-
Shimamura, so yeah.
Yep.
And see the translation and adaptation to bring it into the other language. So
Yeah, and this is a very Shimamura heavy marathon schedule too, because this is
she
our
does good work.
our third
She
game
does.
with a fourth and maybe more that I'm blanking on to come.
Yeah, very prolific and also just extremely different with the pieces that she composes.
It's just very contemporary because like Uematsu, the best known for the Final Fantasy series, does very kind of movie style soundtracks.
very
but,
heavy on strings.
Yeah. Very John Williams.
Shimamura is a lot more kind of rhythmic, I would say, and it just has this kind of distinctive quality to it with the instrumentation too that I really couldn't describe without just saying, just kind of listen and you'll hear it.
I want to say she did the music for Shadow Hearts and Covenant as well.
Oh wow.
I think. I'd have to double check that, but I want to say that's right.
The three that always stand out to me are like Shimomura, Uematsu, and then Sugiyama with the Dragon Quest.
Oh, okay.
So those are like the three big ones for me, like looking at these classic games, and they all put out
Yeah, and then
work.
like favorites of mine too are Motoi Sakuraba, who did a lot of Tri-Ace games.
Oh wow, yeah.
And Yasunari Mitsuda, who did the Chrono games.
So yeah, let's get this final time. So we're at 3:15 and some change. That's okay.
Yeah, because I believe, your PB now is a high 307, I believe.
Yeah, 307.50 some. So this is pretty decent. Get ready. Now, 3:15.47 it looks like. That is not bad considering what happened during that run.
2:35 game time.
So once again, thank you so much everybody who donated for the event and for my run. It was great to have everybody here. Great to have a couch with a legend in the RPG speedrunning crew, and really just great event, and I've loved being a part of it. So
We love you too, Turbo.
Yeah.
oh man.
Great run, great
Oh
commentary.
man, no
great
bad
everything.
touch. No bad touch, please. There's a group of 20 people about to bad touch me. Send help.
right.
Call Twitch.
All right, I think it is definitely time to get us going with some Seiken.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. That was Parasite Eve by Turbodog702, and next coming up is Seiken Densetsu 3 by DMC Aether and Feral Pigman. Right now we'll be running some ads, so just sit tight and enjoy the rest of the marathon.
That's working fine. There's no problem with it at all. It's just that there's no donations right now. There you go. Sometimes it just gets really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously I was having trouble getting some donuts.
PayPal.
Is my mic turned off?
Terrorists, he muted.
Like 6 months ago, my PB.
The Bic himself.
3 months ago, my PB would be godlike.
Try to have some fun, all right?
Godlike.
That would have been number 2, I guess, before new route came along.
All right, what happened with food, guys? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna grab a bite to eat, so I'll be back down in a little bit. All right, man.
All right, man.
All right, good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Is that
If you crush your estimate, feel free to kill the black rabbi too.
I'm gonna try to glitch him out. Sit right up front with my boy DMC Bacon.
That's awesome.
Kan also være possible.
So I don't steal it.
You want to cuddle up with Farrell? You want me to cuddle up with Farrell? Whatever. I'm right here for the Farrell. Do you want me to cuddle with Farrell? You go with Farrell. You cuddle with Farrell. You want me to cuddle with Farrell? I'm deferring to you. God damn it, this is your time.
Good live stream.
One died and one
He's live. Go
Yeah.
ahead, start.
Welcome back to RPG Limit Break. We have Second Densetsu 3 by DMC Ether and Feral Pigman. As a reminder, this is RPG Limit Break 2016. We are in Salt Lake City, Utah, raising money on behalf for NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. This is made especially poignant as May is Mental Health Month. Join the conversation on Twitter using hashtag #ActForMentalHealth or hashtag StigmaFree. And the donations for the incentives for naming let me refresh that real quick.
All right. I'm Feral Pigman, DMC Aether.
Big Fong Balls. And I am Near. And I believe we should probably keep talking a little bit so Kobahi has a half a chance to be able to balance anything.
Probably,
so,
yeah.
Nah.
I see.
Nah, dog.
Well, here are some noises.
Some SD3 noises, official SD3 noises.
Indeed. Hopefully works.
That's me right now. Hour tracker, sorry.
What?
Rip.
Should be good. Should be good. It's good for me.
So is strategy just to not talk at all?
Yeah.
I see. Gotcha.
I believe I said nah, dog.
Nah, dog.
Okay. All right.